Season 1 at the Delaware Dynasty was a massive success. Our team won 9 games, we took home a conference title, and we won our bowl game 38-0. But now the real challenge begins. We go into our first offseason with less than 1,100 Dynasty points to spend, and a lot of really good players who have very large NIL demands. We're going to have to make some tough calls, let a few of these players go, and build an entirely new roster from scratch in the transfer portal. Our team is going to look very different going into season number 2, and it's going to be a huge challenge. Will we stay atop our conference standings, or will we fall behind, being unable to keep up with NIL, the transfer portal, and all the challenges that come with running a program in today's modern college football world? In picking Delaware for this series, I knew it was going to be a major challenge of developing and retaining our high-end talent. Now we're about to see that in real time. Season 1 was a wild success for us, although it didn't start that way. We began the year 2-4, and we were down by 14 points in the fourth quarter against Missouri State. Winning that game ended up being the breaking point for us. It catapulted a 5-game win streak going into our final regular season matchup, where we lost against Jacksonville State. At that point, we should have been eliminated from conference title contention, being in a 3-way tie with FIU and Western Kentucky. Based on the tiebreakers, it should have been Western Kentucky who got the second spot in the Conference USA Championship, but it ended up being us, which worked out quite well. We won our conference title, we won our bowl game, and we finish out the year 9-5. But our program goes into our first offseason with 1,070 available Dynasty points for the entire program. Staff, facilities, recruiting, and managing our roster. We only have 1,070 points, most of which are already being used. We have 165 currently available, and we have roughly 59% of our NIL currently placed inside of our roster. We have a lot of really good players, a lot of really good young players, which was part of the allure of choosing this Delaware team. But now we're going to have to keep these guys. And as we look at our top players, it's going to be nearly impossible to keep all of these guys. And we're going to have to let a few of them go into the transfer portal, and we're going to have to be very selective with the guys who we ultimately choose to keep, because it's not going to be very many of them. We don't have a lot of points, being a very small one-star school in Conference USA, and winning one conference championship is not going to change enough. Nick Minicucci had a really good season for us at quarterback, but he's asking for a lot of Dynasty points. What about a guy like Byron Ellison, who becomes the full-on RB1 with Jonathan Silver gone? Or Sean Wilson, who racked up nearly 800 yards and 9 touchdowns and positions himself to be one of the top players in the Conference USA. He's asking for 340 NIL points, and that wouldn't even guarantee him to stay. That takes up a good 30% of our program's budget. Not the roster budget, the entire program on one player who isn't even a quarterback. But if we want to keep him, we're going to have to let a lot of other guys go. Someone like Bryson Graves, who had a great season for us in the slot. Or Noah Rosahawk, the young left tackle. On defense, Trey Scott had 9 sacks. KT Say had 4 interceptions. Jamarian Kogogbodi, I think, could start at corner for us for the next 3 years. We're not going to be able to keep most of these guys. Of our top players, we're going to maybe be able to keep 2 or 3 out of about 7 or 8. And we have to be very intentional with the guys we want to keep. So we have to be very intentional and very strategic with where we get these points, as we start with the big 3 of Sean Wilson, KT Say, and Nick Minicucci. These 3 guys are asking for the NIL equivalent of a third world country. Minicucci and Wilson do not fit their current deal breakers, whereas KT Say does. So because of that, it's going to be easier to keep a guy like KT Say. So he's the guy who I think we need to prioritize in terms of these stars. If we were to try to keep all 3 of them, they would take up close to 75% of our program's budget. It's just not safe to put that into only 3 players. So I think it makes the most sense to put it into the guy who actually wants to be here. I think KT Say is the best of these 3 to begin with. But to me, he's the guy who we can really look to build this thing around, whereas Sean Wilson and Nick Minicucci are just going to cost too much, and unfortunately, I think we have to let them go. Wilson and Minikuchi are two of the just 20 players who will be leaving our program through the portal. This is ultimately how I've decided to use our points. I think of our top guys, KT Say needs to be the one who we prioritize. I thought he was our best player last year. He's shown that he wants to be here. If he chooses to leave through the portal anyway, we'll get those 140 points back. But I would rather try to keep him than the others. Byron Ellison, to me, is someone who we need to prioritize because Jonathan Silver's graduating. Ellison had a really good season. He averaged over 6 yards a carry. Jamarian Kolok-Bodie and Brandon Raymond are two more guys who I think we need to prioritize. Now, I'm not giving them big NIL offers, but they don't have a very high risk of leaving. Now, if they get points, they do have a higher risk, which is kind of weird. I assume that's a bug. So I'm just going to give Raymond 0, Kolok-Bodie 20, and just kind of hope for the best with those two. Otherwise, I'm going to try to keep defensive tackle Dylan Mann. I'm going to give him 70. I think Noah Rosahawk, the left tackle, is a guy we really need to prioritize. He is a true freshman with impact development and a lot of room to get better. But otherwise, I want to keep the rest of my points flexible for the transfer portal and high school recruiting. I think keeping the max transfers per team on 20 is probably a good idea because there are a lot of players in the portal who just don't sign with teams. So I think for right now, not having it on 30 is probably the best way to go. And then once those patches are up, eventually moving the slider over. So once we see players leaving, we find out, unsurprisingly, that guys like Sean Wilson, Gavin Moole, and Nick Minikuchi are transferring. We expected that. In terms of the guys who we did prioritize, it's a mix. Kolok-Bodie wants to enter the portal. Mann wants to enter. Rosahawk wants to enter. But we were able to retain a handful of others. Most notably, running back Byron Ellison Jr. will be our RB1 this year. Brandon Raymond will be our top receiver this year. And in the secondary, KT Say is sticking around for his senior season. I think there would be a lot of power conference schools asking about him. He can probably play anywhere he wants, but he wants to be here at Delaware. To me, this is our captain. This is going to be the face of our team in season number 2, and I'm really happy that he's sticking around. A few of these other guys, though, don't seem so sure. We can only persuade 2 players to stay, and we have 4 choices. I think, obviously, Jamarian Kolok-Bodie has to be the first one. He has a medium persuasion chance, so this is going to be a tough one, but he is sticking around. That's a big one. And now, all of a sudden, our secondary looks kind of good. With Kolok-Bodie and KT Say both staying, Noah Jefferson comes back. We've got a few other young guys developing. Between Dylan Mann and Noah Rosahawk, Rosahawk's going to be harder to keep, but I really want him. We could try it with a guy like Corbin, who has a high persuasion chance, but I think we could get him and even Dylan Mann back in the transfer portal anyway. Rosahawk, I think, will be a lot more sought after, so even though it's unlikely, we're going to try, and he's going to stay. Wow, that is huge. So Kolok-Bodie's sticking around, and Rosahawk is sticking around. Those are 2 very, very important young pieces for us not going anywhere and returning to the Delaware Blue Hens for season number 2. So yeah, it sucks that we're losing Sean Wilson and Gavin Moole and Nick Minikuchi and Bryson Graves. That's an underrated one. He was our second best receiver this past season. He's going in the portal. Anthony Sakase. Greg Spiller, I thought, had a chance to be our starting running back this year. He's gone. Dylan Mann, unfortunately, enters the portal. Trey Scott had 9 sacks this year. He's gone. George Mullins, I thought, would have a chance to compete for a starting role. He's gone. Kaishawn Cox was a starter for us at secondary. And that doesn't even account for the seniors. Guys like Dwayne Lofton, Noah Matthews, Elijah Sessoms, Jonathan Silver, and others. We are losing well over half of our starters between graduation and the transfer portal. And right now, our current recruiting class only has 2 players committed. But this is all part of the plan. I knew we were going to be active in the transfer portal, and now is our time to shine. We have 235 points available. I was able to not use too much on the roster. And with losing Dylan Mann to the portal, we do get those NIL points back. It's not like we're paying him to play at another program. Now that would be pretty crooked, wouldn't it? I've intentionally not used a lot of our NIL points in recruiting because I knew I was going to need to save these points for the portal. We're going to have a tough time replacing some of these seniors and some of these transfers, but now we need a new starting quarterback. We need probably a couple receivers. We're going to need another running back with Byron Ellison. We have a couple starters on the offensive line. I like our tackle duo, but we need 3 guys who can play along the interior, I think. maybe 2. Dylan Stewart, I think, can start. Defensively, we only have 1 defensive tackle because Brogna's graduating. We need an entirely new linebacking core, and we probably need to fill out some pieces in the secondary, even with Caleb Bodie and KT Say returning. So we basically need an entirely new roster in the transfer portal. Luckily, we have a lot of flexibility, given that we only have 2 players who are currently committed out of high school. We have a few guys who I think are very likely to commit, including a lot of 3-stars, which I'm excited about. But we do need to fill out the rest of this recruiting board. Luckily, we have a lot of spots available. Only 17 guys are on, and I'm going to take some guys off who I know we're not going to get, opening up as many spaces as possible for the portal. We have 22 available slots that we can add transfer players to, and there's a lot of guys to pick from. Over 3,000 players have entered the portal. Now, we know we're not going to get the 5-stars and the 4-stars, but I want to look at 3-stars, particularly quarterbacks. Steele Pizzella from Wake Forest. He's not asking for that much through NIL. He's going to be a redshirt sophomore, and I like his skill set. He's athletic, he's dynamic, and he's pretty accurate. I think he's a guy worth going after. Chris Jimerson Jr. of North Texas, I think, is also going to be a redshirt sophomore this year. He's a very similar player. Tiny, but explosive, can really run, and I think would add a really fun element to our offense. We need to add some more skill position players, so I'm going to look at some running backs and receivers. We only have 2 running backs on the team right now, and we lost our top 3 receivers, 2 of whom are gone to the portal. We need to add some starters on the offensive and defensive lines. Our D-line is basically entirely decimated with players gone. I did try to add Dylan Mann back. I would like to retain him. We're also going to need an entirely new linebacking core because all of our linebackers from last year are gone as well. So basically, we need an entirely new front 7, which is going to be a challenge. Just because our secondary looks good doesn't mean we're not going to add some defensive backs as well. I do want to add a few guys to the secondary as well. So I have added 18 transfer portal players to the board, and that's just here in week 1. We might add some more as time goes along. I really want to figure out which of these 2 quarterbacks I want to prioritize. We're only going to get one, obviously. I'm not going to put all that NIL into both. But I want to be strategic with these points, and I think I did a pretty good job of doing so in the first stage. As we simulate into week 2 of the offseason, a few guys have already narrowed their lists down. I was really disappointed that we were not going to get wide receiver RJ Mosley. He was a guy I really wanted, but Cal, Stanford, Illinois, they're all in the mix for him. We are in the top 5 for defensive tackle Kadier Dunbar, but we're in 4th for him. So the fact that we're competing with other schools is probably not a good sign. The good news is there's not a lot of interest for either of these 2 quarterbacks. So we're in a pretty good spot with landing either one of these 2. The challenge now becomes giving them weapons to get the ball to. Parker Fulgham is a guy I really want. Tulane is interested, but I think it's a battle that we can win. We're going after a lot of linemen on both sides of the ball. I think our lines are kind of weak. Dembele we're in the mix for, but there's a lot of other schools that want him, which concerns me. So between these 2 quarterbacks, Pizzella is a little bit cheaper in terms of his NIL, and he's ranked a little bit higher. So I think he's the guy I'm going to really focus on. We're going to take more of these defensive linemen off the board because I just don't really want to compete with a lot of these other schools. I added a new group of transfers, a couple 3-stars, but mostly some 2-stars now to try to fill out the roster. This is how we're going to use our points in stage 2 of the offseason. We have a better idea of which transfer players are going to be pretty easy to get. And I'm not forgetting about these freshmen. We're still going after these high school recruits as well, because obviously I want more than 2 incoming true freshmen. We finally add a few new commitments. Running back Antoine Tutt instantly becomes the best player in our class. He's a top 500 prospect nationally and could get a lot of playing time this year. Receiver LaShawn Thompson's a 3-star who we've had high on our board all year. We're able to finally land his commitment as well, and a couple other guys are narrowing their lists down. Quarterback Steele Pizzella is down to 5. We're in first place for him, and we're in first place for Parker Fulgham. We've passed Tulane, which is a very good sign. I think these 2 guys could form quite the connection in our offense. Now, Tutt has verbally committed, but I am willing to take some of those points off of him because no one's going after him. I'm also going to take our points off of Pizzella. I think he's kind of a lock at this point. We're going to keep the 50 on Fulgham, and I am going to have him come in for a visit this week. I really want to try to lock him down. It seems like we want him more than Tulane. This would be a massive get for us. Guard Tyler Thomas has a lot of suitors as well. I'm going to keep ourselves in this battle, though, and offer him a visit in week 3 as well. We're going to need the visit to go well if we want to get him. We have 65 hours left to spend, and we're going to start to continue to take more guys off. I'm not offering Max Kafka a scholarship, and based on some of the tests I've done, the only way he will come here is if he's on scholarship. If we're not going to offer him the scholarship, I'm not going to keep him on the board, along with the rest of these high school prospects. If I'm not going to offer them a scholarship, then I'm not willing to keep them, except for Justice Hammer, because we have such a big lead on him anyway. I think we can get him regardless of the scholarship situation. So only 8 of the original high school players who we had left on the board are still here. The rest is mostly filled with transfer players. We're going to continue to offer these guys points. A lot of these guys are not in very competitive races, which is why I've decided to keep them on the board. I've added a couple of 1-star freshmen as well, just to try to fill things out through the rest of our board. Parker Fulgham's visit did not go well enough because apparently we're now in 2nd place going into the final week. Well, that's a disappointment. We're in 3rd for linebacker Josiah Taylor. So I'm going to take Fulgham off. I'm also going to take Tyler Thomas off. I don't think we have a chance at either one of those guys despite the visits. Taylor, I do think we have a chance for, even though it's slim. If I put as many points into him as possible and have him go on a visit with an A+ deal breaker, I think we can land him. For the other transfers who only have 1 scholarship, being us, I'm going to take the points off because I already kind of assume we're going to get these guys. So this is how I've decided to spend our 425 points for the final week of the offseason. We only have 4 commitments so far, so it's a little bit scary that we're going into signing day with a very small class, but I think that's going to change. I think Josiah Taylor is going to be a very competitive recruiting battle with the visit, but otherwise, I would like to think we're going to get a lot of these guys. I even had extra NIL points. I gave Kenny Wosley Jr. more than he was asking for, which I didn't really do with anybody else. But I figured if we're going to have these points, I might as well use them. Right now, we have the 117th class with only 4 players signed. It's a little scary clicking the simulate button, not knowing what's going to happen. But luckily, we got a lot of these guys. 3-star receiver Justice Hammer. He's been one of my top targets all year. Larry Thacker's got a chance to be the long-term center. Heiko Malone, transfer linebacker, he'll be a depth piece. Dylan Mann comes back after trying to leave us. DJ Kelly's going to be a starting corner opposite of Caleb Bodie. Steele Pizzella is going to be our starting quarterback. That's a big get. Kenny Wosley Jr., I think, is going to play a lot. Lloyd Woodyard is going to be a good depth piece. Cole Carmichael, as a freshman, is going to start at edge for us. Taj Powell, I think, is going to start. Daniel Hughes is going to be our punter. Pretty much all of these transfers are going to play such a big role. Nino Francavilla will be the starting center. Jalen Bonds will be the second running back. DeMarcus Riddick is going to play a lot. Kurt Vakalahi might play a lot. And then all the 1-stars ended up committing as well. I wanted to focus on guys who fit positions of need in terms of spots where we were very short in terms of depth. This is a lot of players committing to us here on signing day. Holy cow. We really got pretty much everyone on our board. We even got a punter in Jimmy Metz. We got 2 punters. Josiah Taylor was the guy I wasn't sure if we were going to land. He was in 3rd place last week, but we end up getting him. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Holy cow. So we ended up signing, get ready for this, 27 players in the final week alone. We went 27 for 29. We lost out on one of the 1-star corners and a 3-star transfer center. But otherwise, we got everybody else. A 31-man class, so practically full. We went into the week with 4. So our master plan of waiting for the transfer portal and waiting for a lot of these 3-stars to sign late paid off masterfully. Is that a word? The 64th ranked overall recruiting class. We only used 320 NIL points. 55th in terms of our high school recruiting ranking. 41st in terms of our transfer ranking. I don't know how that adds up to 64th, but sure. We really did rebuild our entire roster. We just landed a bunch of new starters on both sides of the ball, including our starting quarterback inside of the portal. We ended up with 15 new 3-star prospects. 15! That's a lot! In terms of dev traits, though, we did not get very lucky. A few players, like Larry Thacker, had impact. DeMarcus Riddick has start, but he's a senior transfer player, so that doesn't really matter. In terms of our former players, Nick Minikuchi will be the starting quarterback at Penn State. Sean Wilson's going to Georgia. And Gavin Mould did not get a scholarship offer. The grass is not always greener, kids. We are going to switch out a couple of positions, mostly just trying to fill out positions of depth. Jack Small, I think, can play. He has a good development trait. I'm going to kick him inside over to guard. And then otherwise, it's just kind of filling out spots they're a little bit weaker at. We have a lot of edge rushers, but not a lot of defensive tackles. We have a lot of will linebackers. I'd rather Josiah Taylor be our Mike linebacker. I think he's going to be our top guy there. Taj Powell, meanwhile, I think will start for us as a Sam linebacker, and Heiko Malone can be his backup. So now our linebacker positions are a lot more even. Jalen Bell, I'm going to slide over to strong safety. And now our roster is set. Jimmy Metz is an 83. We landed two really good punters. I think we can start Hughes with the nice hair. And Jimmy Metz can redshirt as our current second best player. Now, not all of the freshmen look too good. Antoine Tudd is a 61. As a 3-star, he was the number one freshman we got. I thought he was going to play this year. KT Say's development trait goes up to impact as we move into training results, where we get to see our team go up in rating. There are some big additions here. Brandon Raymond is an 85, so he really will be our new number one receiver. Byron Ellison is an 83. Steele Pizzella is going to be one of our top players. He's a 79 overall. Plus 6 awareness. That's a big one for him as a young quarterback. And I think his supporting cast on offense honestly looks pretty solid because a lot of these receivers were able to develop. A lot of the offensive linemen got better. I think the defense looks pretty solid. I think our team is in a good spot going into this second season. We are going to have to cut 3 players. I'd love to cut some of these one-star freshmen. Instead, we're going to release Trey Lloyd. He's our 5th quarterback. We don't really need him. Tight end Josh Humes and kicker Tucker Smack. Is he the brother of the guy who got drafted to the Packers to play kicker? If so, I'm glad I cut him because I don't want any of that Green Bay Packer juju on our roster. We are going to stay in the Conference USA with the ultimate goal of moving up at some point, but we're not ready for that. Yeah, we won the conference title this year, but we also lost 3 games, and we walked into the conference championship hanging on for dear life by sheer luck. So that officially brings us into the 2027 season. Where do we begin? I think we've got to start with the fact that we're not in the top 25. Obviously, no one in our conference is. I still think we're going to be one of the better teams, though, in the Conference USA. Even with all the players we lost, I really like our new look roster. We'll start with our offense, which is going to look very different from a year ago. Steele Pizzella, the redshirt sophomore transfer from Wake Forest, is going to be our new quarterback. And he's going to be a little bit different compared to what we have with Nick Minikuchi, who's now the starter at Penn State. Pizzella is only 5'11", not even 190 pounds. He is tiny, but he is really explosive. Good accuracy, super fast. He just has a pretty weak arm. Only 79 throw power. Obviously is not ideal. But I think we're going to shift our offense a little bit to be a lot more run heavy and allow for Pizzella to be a guy who makes a lot of plays out of structure. This is an offense that I think will rely on the short passing game and the quick passing game, but also receivers who can ad-lib a little bit in their routes and run some scramble drills. Byron Ellison returns. He will be the RB1. He complimented Jonathan Silver last year and now gets to take on a bigger load. Pause. Ellison was really good last year. He averaged 6 yards a carry and was one of our most consistent players on offense. I think with more touches, he'll be even better. Jalen Bonds will be our backup, the redshirt sophomore. I think we'll see some Jared Porter as well. And then our new number 1 receiver, Brandon Raymond, is an 85. He's just as good as Sean Wilson was ratings-wise a year ago. Raymond was our wide receiver 4 last year. I don't think we used him enough. We didn't realize what we had with him until he had 130 yards in our bowl game, and we realized, yeah, maybe he should have been a bigger part of the offense. We're not going to make the same mistake this year. The rest of our receiving core is filled with guys who have been developing behind the scenes. Matthew McKinney-Daniels, Nick Tyree, Ty Salazar, and Calvin Thomas were all guys who have already been in the organization. They're not new from the portal, but they've all quietly been getting better and improving steadily. We'll see a couple guys at tight end, but I think Jackson Bowman will be the starter and Scott Moore will be the backup. The offensive line, I think, is well-rounded, led by the left tackle, Noah Rosahawk. Everybody on the O-line is at least a 70 overall, so we're very deep up front. The defense, I think, looks pretty solid as well. We really don't have any major weak links. on this side of the ball. I think we were very good in the portal in terms of focusing on filling out every position on this roster to not have any really bad starters. Obviously, everything on this defense starts and ends with KT Say. The All-American safety had 4 interceptions last year, and in my opinion was our best player. We were able to keep him this year, allowing him to become really the captain of this team and become a legend here at the University of Delaware. Noah Jefferson had 3 interceptions last year as a freshman. He returns. Jalen Bell, meanwhile, him and Kevin Moore are both going to get more playing time, pun intended. And then the cornerback room I'm really excited about. This is definitely a strength of ours. Keeping Jamarian Kalubodi in the transfer portal is such a win for us because he's one of our best young players as a redshirt sophomore. The rest of the corner room I think is a lot better than it was last year. DJ Kelly will start on the outside opposite of him. He's a 77 overall true sophomore. Trenton Gummer and Kenny Wosley Jr. will play in nickel and dime packages, which is really where our defense lines up the most. Josiah Taylor, meanwhile, will wear the green dot. He'll be the Mike linebacker. We keep Dylan Mann. I think a guy like DeMarcus Riddick's going to play a lot at linebacker. Guys like Cole Carmichael and Taj Powell, who we got through the portal. I would say over half of our starters on defense are transfer players. The offense, we were able to retain more of our talent, but the defense looks very different. Our toughest non-conference games are going to be on the road against Illinois and James Madison. And then look at this. 4 straight home games, 4 straight road games. The UConn game was even supposed to be on the road, but I switched it at home just so our final home game wouldn't be in week 8. But we got completely screwed by the schedule makers because I want home games late in the year so we can have guys come in for visits. Clearly not. In terms of recruiting, I'm going to take on a similar strategy than last year, but I do want to sign a few players quicker. I want to pick out a few 3-stars that I really like and then fill out the rest of the board with 2-stars. So ultimately, I picked roughly a dozen 3-stars to start the board with. These are the guys who we're going to really go after, starting with quarterback Eric Dickens, who honestly looks really good. 80 speed, 90 throw power, pretty good accuracy. He can play. I think this is a guy who could easily be a starter for us down the line once Steele Pizzella is gone. I'm excited to go after him. I think he can really, really sling it. We went 9-5 last year. We won the Conference USA. We won a bowl game. We'll see if we can continue to please our athletic director while continuing to dominate in terms of the recruiting trail. I'm not going to offer a lot of these 3-star scholarships yet. I probably will once I see schools are interested, but if schools aren't interested, I'm not going to offer these guys scholarships to try to save as much NIL as possible. I'm also going to keep my eye on the other 3-stars who maybe don't get scholarship interest from other schools, who maybe we can try to poach on later in the year. So our first game of the year is against FCS Southeast. The real-life equivalent of this is LIU, which is Long Island University, located in New York. But we already played against FCS East last year, so I wanted to play against a different FCS team. Definitely a tune-up for us because we've got some tough ones over the next couple of weeks with Illinois and James Madison on the road. Wow, Virginia Tech beat number 3 Notre Dame to start the year. How about our beloved Hokies? But let's get this show on the road. We are now ready to begin in season number 2. We've gone through the offseason. We've met the roster. We've set up the recruiting board. And now we're ready to play some football. Our team looks very different. Over half of our starters are new. Most of the guys who are going to be playing big roles for this team did not play a lot last year, whether they were backups for us or were with another program entirely, specifically our new quarterback, redshirt sophomore Steele Pizzella, who I would love to have as our starter for the next 3 years. But if he's too good, he's probably going to want to leave in the portal. So that's the balancing act that we have to deal with of being a 1-star school. So we're going to start this game on offense. We're going to get to see our new quarterback in action as it's an early 3rd down and 8. Pizzella can really run, but he misfires for Byron Ellison Jr. He's definitely not as accurate as Nick Minicucci. I think there's going to be a learning curve for him. But we force an early fumble. That's DeMarcus Riddick, the senior transfer linebacker, who's going to get a lot of snaps at edge, ripping it away from their quarterback. We're moving it pretty well. 2nd down with a minute left in the 1st. Wide open is Matthew McKinney-Daniels inside the 5 with a juke move into the end zone for a touchdown. He was a backup for us a year ago, now a redshirt sophomore. He'll be the number 2 receiver, opposite of Brandon Raymond. However, look at this. On the first play of the drive for FCS Southeast, they pull that off. Are you kidding me? And we're tied at 7. We allowed way too many long runs last year, so to see that is certainly not encouraging. Third down for the Hens. Pizzella is sacked. And we've got to punt it again. Our offense has only had one good drive out of 3 so far. 2 minutes left in the half. The game's tied as we blow up the screenplay immediately. I think that was Kenny Woolsey Jr., the transfer from Virginia Tech, with the tackle. About a minute left in the first half. Wide open on the wheel route is Byron Ellison Jr., who takes it into the end zone for a touchdown, and Delaware regains the lead as it's 14-7. The offense has certainly taken its lumps so far. That's a big score. Back on defense, a pitch on first down. We've got to stop allowing these big runs. It was a problem last year. It's a problem against FCS Southeast. The running back, Zay Greco, has 6 carries for 112 yards. Third down, quarterback looks to scramble. He's going to outrun the defense and get the first down. A huge run to convert. But look at the clock now. There's 6 seconds. He's going to have to move this along. With 3 seconds, he throws it away out of bounds with 2. And now they're going to kick a field goal. But it's blocked! Kenny Woolsey Jr. gets a hand on it. And the special teams unit makes a huge play to end the first half. 14-7. We didn't look great, but we're able to hold some points off the board with a block kick as we go into the break. Trouble in paradise. The other winged helmet team, the University of Michigan, lost at home 27-10 against Buffalo. Yikes. Into the third. FCS Southeast starts with the ball. Second down. Another broken tackle. We've got to do a better job of finishing these plays. Big hit, though. KT Say delivering the boom. But another nice first down run. Now a 3rd and 10. Looking to throw it. Under a little pressure, and he is sacked. Quair Price, the senior defensive lineman, didn't play a big role for us last year, but he's going to see the field a lot more. 4 minutes to go in the third. Pizzella on the run has Ellison with another big catch. Trucks the defender. Gets it past the 30. He's had some big plays through the air today. First down, short throw. Brandon Raymond, juke move. High steps into the end zone for a touchdown. First score of hopefully many for Brandon Raymond's junior season. We're giving him no NIL, by the way. I feel like we're robbing him. He's an 85. 3rd and 7. Lob pass, tipped and incomplete. Good coverage by DJ Kelly, who's had a nice game. The transfer from James Madison, one of our rivals, who we're going to play against in 2 weeks. 3rd and inches. This is Ellison. He doesn't get it. We're this close. We might as well go for it. Jalen Bonds in the backfield on 4th down. He gets it up the middle. He gets the first down. A good run by Bonds, who's going to be our change of pace back. He's not going to play as big of a role as Ellison last year, but he'll still play a lot. Raymond on the final play of the third quarter gets it to about the 10. 7 catches, 101 yards for Brandon Raymond today as we move into the fourth. Another 4th down. It's 4th and 3. Pizzella under pressure. Hit as he throws, incomplete. We only have 21 points against an FCS school. That's kind of embarrassing. 3rd down, read option, a pitch to the outside. Kenny Woolsey is right there with the tackle. He has been all over the field today. 3 TFLs and a blocked field goal. 4th and 7, deep pass, picked off. Jamarion Calabote with the interception. He had a couple last year. Snags one on opening day this year. Under 3 minutes left to go. Here's Ty Salazar. Gets a block from Ellison. Inside the 10, the 5, into the end zone. Ty Salazar with the touchdown. And it's 28-7. He'll be our slot receiver. Last year's slot man, Bryson Graves, played a big role for us. That one is intercepted. Another pick. Jalen Bell, the new starting strong safety, with the INT. And we ultimately take this game by a final score of 31-7. We chewed some clock, tacked on a field goal late. I don't think we played that well, though. The offense was sloppy. The run defense was also sloppy in the first half. We have a lot to improve upon going into our hardest game of the year next week on the road at Illinois. If we play like this, I don't like our chances. At the end of the day, it was just a tune-up game for us, basically a preseason game. But against an FCS opponent, they averaged 2.5 more yards per run than us. That's not good. Now, look at the difference throwing the ball. 2.2 yards per pass versus 11.3. They had 35 passing yards as a team. That's pretty bad. I thought Steele Pizzella had a good debut, 19 of 25, 283, 4 touchdowns. It took him a little bit to get going, but I think in the second half he really started to get comfortable. On the ground, Ellison, not great, 3.8 yards a carry, and Pizzella was quiet as a runner too. But Ellison was really good through the air, and he was not the only one. Raymond, 7 for 101 and a score. Salazar, 4 for 48 and a score. McKinney Daniels, 4 for 57 and a score. Ellison had 66 and a touchdown. The offensive line, I thought, could have been a lot better. The defense, I know we didn't allow any points after the first quarter. The run defense could have been better. I was really impressed, though, with a few guys. Riddick had 2 sacks and 4 TFLs. Wosley had 3 TFLs and a block kick. So at least our new transfer portal additions are making a loud impact for us. We also had a couple of turnovers. Riddick forced a fumble that they recovered, but we had 2 interceptions by 2 of our returning players in Bell and Calabote. So we begin the year with a record of 1-0. We're on pace to go undefeated. Is it likely? I don't know, probably not, because unfortunately we don't get to play against FCS Southeast every week. Otherwise, we probably would go undefeated. We would get some pretty cool news, though, as Steele Pizzella wins the Offensive Player of the Week for the Conference USA. Hopefully the first of many, throwing for 4 touchdowns and nearly completing 80% of his throws. That brings us into week 2. This is Illinois' first game of the year. They had a bye week in week 1. That is awfully unfortunate for them, I feel like, in the long term. But it doesn't really help us because they are very well rested and they're very ready to go. The Illini are probably the best team who we will see this year. There are 79 overall, although their best player is a true freshman punter. Go figure. The one punter in the recruiting class who might be better than the guy we signed. How ironic. So they don't have a lot of star power, but they're a very, very deep roster with good players galore. A lot of guys in the mid to low 80s who are going to be very good contributors. They even have Jabari Smith. They stole him from the Rockets. At quarterback, they've got a younger guy with a talented sophomore by the name of Carson Boyd. He can really run, 88 speed, 6 foot, 191. Very similar skill set to what we have with Steele Pizzella. And I think their talent levels are also honestly pretty even. Even though Illinois is like 13 rating points higher than us as a team, as I look at this roster, I honestly think they're beatable. I don't want to cash checks before I write them, but in terms of the quarterback, we're pretty even. They have us beat most other spots, but I don't think it's by that much. It's not like we really have any weak positions. I think we really have a chance to hopefully make this a game on the road against a very respectable Big Ten program. 3rd down and 3, we're going to start on offense. It's Byron Ellison to the outside. Look at that block. Ellison, boom! Big hit in the secondary. Oh, my goodness. But he does get the first down. On 2nd down now, short throw for Brandon Raymond, and our offense is looking good early on drive number 1 here in Champaign, Illinois. 3rd down and 1 about halfway through the quarter. Byron Ellison gets the first down. Ellison inside the 10 with a juke move inside the 5 to about the 1. He is off to a really quick start on this drive with nearly 50 yards. Can we get him in the end zone, though? It's 4th and goal. Jared Porter is short. We did all that driving down the field just to not score. Now, Illinois does have to start at the 2, but luckily for them, our run defense is filled with trolls. Clay Huff gains about 19 yards on the first play, and now they don't have to worry about a safety. Here's Boyd on 3rd down, scrambles under pressure, and he is sacked. Dylan Mann brings him down. Mann tried his best to leave us this offseason, but we weren't going to let him escape too quickly. On 1st down, Pizzella hit as he throws. They call it a foul. Pick up the ball! What are you doing? It's recovered by the Illini, and they'll take it for a scoop and score. What was the right tackle doing? He was right in front of the ball. How did he not pick it up? I can't say I've ever seen a lack of situational awareness like that we just saw from right tackle Chandler Telfair. Can we look at this again? So Pizzella, first of all, that's a throw. That's not a fumble. Second of all, how did the right tackle Telfair not pick the ball up? That's crazy. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Luckily, the offense is moving down the field, but all for naught. Pizzella turns it over again. He's intercepted for the first time this year by linebacker Robert Edmondson. And our offense has now turned it over on back-to-back possessions. Here's Carson Boyd. Lobs it up, one-on-one. Jabari Smith Jr. comes down with it. That really might be the 6'10" Jabari Smith on the Rockets. Under a minute left in the first half, Clay Huff powers his way into the end zone for a touchdown, and Illinois now leads it 14-0. We do have a little time, though, before the break, 45 seconds, so maybe we can get some points. Pizzella under a ton of pressure. He can run, trying to show off his speed. Pizzella hoists it down the field. It's caught. Nick Tyree to the 15-yard line, and we're going to use a timeout. That is our third and final. At the 15 with under 10 seconds, Pizzella looking. It's McKinley Daniels for a touchdown. That was a ballsy throw. He sent that one right into traffic. And luckily, the linebacker wasn't able to make a play on it quick enough, and we do score a touchdown before the half. 14-7, Illinois leads. I feel like we got completely screwed with that fumble play because his arm made a forward throwing motion, and then the right tackle decided to be a total moron and not pick the ball up. Illinois starts with it in the third. Here's Carson Boyd on the read option. Gets a block, and Boyd is off to the races. On the first play of the third quarter, he takes it 75 to the crib. And what's unfortunate is I thought our run defense in that first half really wasn't that bad. Well, now that good fortune is gone. Luckily, just like Illinois, we have a quarterback that can also run. And sure enough, here's Steele Pizzella with plenty of room. He's not going to be able to get a touchdown, but he does get it near the 50. These two quarterbacks can both really fly. Third down now, Pizzella looking for Raymond. That was the initial read, and he stuck on him too long. We're going to go for it, though. What do we have to lose against a team like Illinois? Pizzella scrambles around, up the middle, it's caught. Nick Tyree inside the 5, into the end zone for a touchdown. Wow, I didn't expect to score on that play. But Nick Tyree with another huge catch, and it's a one-score game again. 21-14, we're not out of it. 3rd and 4, Boyd keeps it himself. Boyd hit hard behind the first down marker by K.T. Say. They're going to go for it on 4th and 1. This would be a gigantic stop if we were to get it. Huff, nowhere close. Taj Powell brings him down. Delaware gets it back, only down by 7 late in the third. Pizzella under pressure. He's sacked on 3rd down, so we don't take advantage. Aiden Jones brings him down. Illinois, unfortunately, would march down the field and fumble it in the end zone. Wow, another turnover. Clay Huff tries to dive over the pylon, but he coughs it away, and Powell is there with the recovery. We're down by 7, and we've got a chance to tie the game. That's not going to get us a lot. 4th and 4. I think the smart decision is to punt it, but the question for me is, would I rather put the ball in the hands of our offense or our defense? And I don't trust our run defense. I would rather put the ball in the hands of Steele Pizzella and have him try to make a play with the game on the line, and luckily we convert as Jalen Bonds is wide open for the first down. 2.5 minutes to go, play action. Pizzella scrambles around and he's sacked again. Our offensive line is struggling against a defensive line that is, well, a lot better. Final play before the 2-minute warning. Pizzella hoists it up down the field, and it's caught! Ty Salazar to the 30. Are you kidding me? Everything that could go right for us in this fourth quarter is. We just had the magic touch right now. Hopefully it doesn't end soon. There's Bonds to the 15, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end zone. With 1:10 to go on 3rd down. That one is caught. I wanted to go short, try to get us a 4th down and manageable. So here it is, 4th and 4. Pizzella, under some pressure, tries to run with it, and he doesn't get it. Illinois gets the stop. Now, the one saving grace is I did save all of our timeouts. And the defense, actually, believe it or not, does get the stop. DJ Kelly brings him down. So we burned the timeouts. We're going to get it back with not much time. There's 17 seconds. We've got it on their 40. Having no timeouts, Pizzella's going to hoist it, and it's way underthrown and intercepted by DeMarcus Gardner. The receiver was open, but we're seeing in real time the effects of having a quarterback with 79 throw power. Steele Pizzella has a lot of really fun skills. His arm strength is not one of them, and it may have just lost us the game. 21-14, we battled with Illinois. Carson Boyd completed every one of his throws, but he only threw it, I think, like 6 or 8 times. The thing with Illinois is that they ran the ball so much. The run defense has been the problem with this team since last year, and that's absolutely carried over into the first 2 games of this year. They averaged 8 yards a run. We only averaged 4.5. And the fact that we got beat up front by the ground game again was ultimately the difference here in what otherwise ended up being a close game. Boyd completed every one of his throws, but he made more of an impact as a runner with that 75-yard touchdown to start the third quarter. Now, we still need to defend the pass better, and if he did have higher volume, I'm worried Illinois' offense could have been a little bit better. Pizzella, meanwhile, 19 of 27, 275, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did a lot of good things, minus the interceptions. The problem is both of those throws were really, really bad. It's not like you can really excuse them. Ellison was solid. I do want to get Jalen Bonds more involved. He had a couple catches, but I do want to see him more as a runner. Raymond had 71 yards, Salazar had 50, McKinley Daniels scored again, and Nick Tyree, I think, made the 2 biggest catches of the game, honestly, 2 for 75 and a score. The offensive line wasn't great. I didn't really expect us to play very well up front because, Illinois is a Big Ten team. We're not, so we're not going to be as strong up front. Kenny Wosley had 3 TFLs again, though. He seems to live in the backfield as a corner, no less. He already has 6 through just 2 games. That's really impressive. So we drop our second game of the year to Illinois. We now have a record of 1-1. We're going to have to bounce back in week 3, but it's a big game. We're going to play James Madison with a home and home. We'll be at their place this year, and they'll come to our place next year. These two teams are very familiar with each other from their time in the FCS, playing in the Colonial Athletic Association, where they were obviously 2 of the best teams in that conference, good enough to move up to the FBS. Let's talk about some recruiting through the first couple of weeks of the year. So nobody wants Eric Dickens, which is great news for us. We might be able to get him without offering the 55 NIL points for a scholarship, meaning we can use those points elsewhere. I'm going to keep giving him 50 points because I want to sign him as soon as possible. 1, to avoid offering in the scholarship, but 2, because he looks really good, and I just really want this guy on our team. I think he's a complete gem. I think ranking him as the 123rd ranked quarterback in the country is really disrespectful because his skills look really good. I'm trying to recruit a little faster this year so we can get guys on visits earlier because all of our home games are so early. Gideon Okuyemi, he's a highly ranked 2-star receiver, has a lot of interest, so I want to get him in the building pretty quickly. I think we're going to have him come in for our first in-conference game of the year against Middle Tennessee, that being in 2 weeks from now in week 5. I'd rather go big or go home with the visit rather than have him come in week 4, which is our bye week. So let's take a look at James Madison. The Dukes come into this game with a record of 0-1. They, like Illinois, had a bye week in week 1, and then they were blown out by Maryland in week 2. 48-17. Their defense really struggled. They're a 66 overall. They are dead even with us, but they are a 2-star prestige, whereas we are only a 1-star. They honestly have more star power than even Illinois. Braden Wisloski is an 88 overall. I remember him from College Football 25 in the Kansas Dynasty at the University of Maryland. I think he won a Heisman Trophy. Or if not, he was really close. He was a beast, and we're going to have to find a way to stop him. George Pettaway is a really good running back. Jarriett Bluey is a very solid number 2 receiver. They've got a lot of depth on this roster. Vaughn Blue at running back. As for the starting quarterback, it's senior Camden Coleman, who's a 79 overall. He's not quite as athletic as Carson Boyd last week, but he's a little bit better of a passer. Does it say this guy had 7 sacks last week and 8 TFLs on Duke? Holy cow. That's nuts. So we'll move into week 3 against James Madison. We've gotten some suggestions for our rivalry with Liberty in the Discord, what to name the rivalry. I'm going to need some suggestions for the James Madison rivalry as well, so hopefully I can give it a good title in the next episode. Unless it has a real name, then obviously we'll go with that. Delaware is going to start on offense. Here is Pizzella dancing around under pressure. This is his game, though. He loves to get jiggy with it. Past the 45, past the 50, slides down. He has a very awkward running motion, but he is a really good runner. He makes it work. I don't care how you run, as long as you run as well as he does. Really good opening drive for the offense. Trying to finish off with a touchdown, but Jaden Bonds gets rocked on 3rd down. 4th and 2, we're going to go for it. Pump fake, incomplete. We had a receiver open. McKinley Daniels had plenty of space, but the fact that Pizzella hesitated on the throw is what caused us to not score there. James Madison with it, 3rd down. Here is Camden Coleman under pressure on the run. Misfires, it's incomplete. So luckily, they don't capitalize off of our 4th down stop. We'll get it back on offense. It's a screen for Ellison, and he loses like 6. That is not what the screenplay was intended for. 3rd and long, Pizzella under pressure. He'll go short for McKinley Daniels. Maybe just try to keep us in field goal range, although Pizzella's hurt. Uh-oh. I ended up punting it. I didn't think we were close enough to kick, although James Madison's marching down the field. It's Braden Wisloski who gets it to about the 2. Coleman now getting the Dukes very close to the end zone, looking to punch it in and score first. Still scoreless at nearly the 2-minute warning in the first half. They're not going to punch it in on 3rd and goal, and they're going to bring the field goal unit out for 4th and goal. That is kind of weak. However, following the 2-minute warning, they had a change of heart. They're going to go for it on 4th and goal as George Pettaway walks into the end zone for the easiest touchdown of his life. And James Madison is on the board. Pettaway's been quiet, though. Our run defense has played really well so far. Up the middle on 3rd down. We are lucky that was not intercepted. That was a horrible throw. And JMU gets it back with about a minute left in the first half. On 1st down, Coleman goes short for Pettaway, and he's going the wrong way. Hey, that rhymed. 10 carries, 22 yards. That was Kenny Wosley with the tackle for loss, his 7th of the year already. 3rd and 2, incomplete. DJ Kelly got a hand on it. We'll get it back, looking to potentially tie the game before halftime. We only have 20 seconds, though. Pizzella on the run, gets a block, gets a 1st down, and he's out of bounds past the 30. So we can kick a field goal here, at the very least put ourselves on the board, but we'd also love more. On the out route, what a catch! That's Salazar who hauls it in. With 9 seconds now, Pizzella has Raymond inside the 5 to about the 1. We're going to call a timeout with 4 seconds. We've got to run this play quick. I think we probably have 2 snaps we can get through. 1st and goal, Pizzella, touchdown! Nick Tyree. He only has 3 catches so far this year, but they've all been in unbelievably clutch spots. Had 2 big ones last week against Illinois. Gets a big one here as time expires in the first half, and this game is tied at 7. We really should have the lead, if not for us being stopped in the red zone on 4th down in the first quarter. But James Madison starts with the ball, and here they are, marching right down the field on 1st down. Coleman, his pass is caught, and that'll get James Madison inside the 5 to about the 2. That's Jarriett Bowie with the reception. Following play, 1st and goal, Vaughn Blue bounces off a blocker in for a score, and the Dukes are ahead 14-7. Here is Pizzella with 3 to go in the 3rd. That might be the worst throw I've ever seen in my life. Good Lord, that was horrible. He was trying to evade the pressure, threw it off his back foot. It looked like he was trying to throw it to the defender. Was he gambling? James Madison will score a touchdown, and they add to the lead. It's Vaughn Blue, his 2nd touchdown in the last minute, off the interception by Nakayan Jackson. Our offense was moving it down the field, but Pizzella fumbles the ball. James Madison picks it up, and they're going to take it all the way for a scoop and score. Jaden Studio with the strip sack, and Dante Scarborough takes it for a touchdown, and this game got away from us in a hurry. Steele Pizzella with 2 really bad turnovers. I still can't get over the interception, and it's 28-7. Pizzella has a wide open man. It's Jackson Bowman with a juke move. We've got to move fast. 6.5 minutes to go, now 5.5. As it's 3rd and 12, short throw for Ty Salazar, who does not get the 1st down, but he is close. 4th and 1, pretty easy decision here. We're going to go for it. Jalen Bonds barely gets it, but he keeps it moving, and we've got to keep it moving. 2nd and 10, Pizzella tries to run up the middle. Instead, he's got Ellison inside the 5 into the end zone. Byron Ellison Jr. with the touchdown. So we score. I think we took a little bit longer than we had hoped. Now we're going to need to get a stop on the other side of the ball. 2nd and 14, RPO. Up the middle, it's hauled in for a 1st and more. Nearing the 50-yard line, it's KD Mosley. 3rd down and 12 now. Blue gets it up the middle. Whoop! Ankle's broken. Sayonara, he is gone. KT Say got his ankles snatched. And James Madison seems to have iced this game. It's 35-14, assuming the PAT goes through. A hat trick for Vaughn Blue, his 3rd touchdown of the second half. KT Say is supposed to be our superstar. He's supposed to be our captain. That can't happen. That's unacceptable. He's got to be better. Luckily, we would get it down the field. 3rd down, Pizzella looking back of the end zone, broken away, and we're going to have to go for it here on 4th down and 10, pretty much at the 10. Pizzella dances around looking to throw it, and it is incomplete. And that will do it. A bad loss for the Hens. 35-14 against our rivals. 3 touchdowns for Vaughn Blue. 2 bad second half turnovers for Pizzella. a horrible interception. I still can't believe he threw it. And then a fumble on their side of the field that they took all the way for a 70-plus yard scoop and score. We've clearly got some work to do. We started slow last year in non-conference play, and that seems to be exactly what's happening again. We outgained them, though, in terms of total yards, and we had the same amount of yards per play. It's just that James Madison made more plays when they needed to. They obviously had the huge turnovers, which really changed the complexion of the game. Their quarterback did not make mistakes, and ours did. Steele Pizzella is really talented, and he does things that even Nick Minicucci last year could not do. He has a lot of good traits about him, this kid. Keeping the ball is not one of them. He is reckless with the football, and we've got to work on that moving forward. Ellison had a good game, though. 9 carries, 54 yards. Pizzella was good on the ground. 9 carries, 72 yards. He's a threat to run, but sometimes it can cost him a little bit. He can try to do a little too much, and the interception and the fumble were both results of him trying to scramble around in the pocket and make a play when he really didn't have it. At least Brandon Raymond played well again. Ellison had that nice touchdown. And then defensively, we allowed 35 points. We allowed less than 35 points in the first 2 weeks combined. So this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I really think on a snap-by-snap basis, our defense was at its most consistent today. They still made a lot of mistakes. The tackling's got to be better, but I really don't think the defense was the problem. I think it was the offense. As we simulate the week, we're moving fast with some of these 3-stars. I'm happy that we're moving faster in these battles than we were last year, especially considering all the home games we have early in the year. I think our next 4 games are in our own building. So we're going to get a couple of these guys set to visit for our first in-conference game of the year in Week 5 against Middle Tennessee, the Blue Raiders, that being in 2 weeks from now. There are some good players here. I think DeMarco Moon at wide receiver, 6'4", good size, good frame, good build. Before our game against the Blue Raiders, we have a bye week, a much-needed bye week after our 2 losses against Illinois and James Madison. And that brings us into Conference USA play. We are looking to defend our conference title after winning it last year. Now, it certainly wasn't pretty a season ago. We still lost 3 games in Conference USA play, so I'm not going to act like we cakewalked through the conference. Middle Tennessee is 0-3 so far. Granted, they've had a tough schedule. They allowed 48 against Auburn and 60 against Memphis. And they have to play Ole Miss next week. This might be a trap game for them. Our offense is coming off a pretty bad game against James Madison. This is a nice opportunity to bounce back. Their best players are true freshman kickers and a punter. Their 2 best players are kickers. Sure, I guess. They don't have anybody else on the roster higher than an 80 overall. Their quarterback is Ryan Brown, the redshirt senior, former starter at Purdue, who they got in the portal after losing their previous starter, Roman Gagliano, through the portal. So let's get our conference slate underway. We're not looking all that sharp in non-con play, but to be fair, we weren't that great in non-conference play last year, so this isn't necessarily uncharted territory for us, but we have not beaten an FBS opponent yet this year. Neither has Middle Tennessee, so one of those 2 streaks has to come to a close today. 3rd and 7, direct snap, Ellison gets a few. 4th and 4, we're keeping the offense out there, we're going to go for it. Pizzella rolls out to the right side on the run, it is caught. He did not want just the first down, he wanted the big play, and he got it in the hands of Bowman. Here is Ellison, short on 3rd down and medium, we're going to go for it again. On 4th and 3, it's Jalen Bonds into the end zone for a touchdown. 2 4th down conversions on the opening drive, and Delaware is on the board first with an opening drive score. We needed that. We needed to set the tone on the offensive side of the ball. 3rd down and about 8. Brown gets smothered. Kenny Wosley Jr. with a hard hit on the corner blitz. This kid continues to really impress me. I mean, his football instincts around the line of scrimmage are very impressive. Long field goal from 51 yards out, but luckily for Middle Tennessee, they had the most impressive kicking room I have ever seen at the collegiate level. 85 overall true freshman Tyler Benavidez makes the kick, and it's 7-3. Pizzella to end the first, nearly intercepted. Bonds was open early on that play. He threw it too late and was lucky it was not a turnover. The Blue Raiders with it, 3rd and inches. Brown hoists it up, and it is broken away by KT Say. Blue Hens get it back under 4 to go in the first half. On 3rd down, Pizzella on the run, gets it to Brandon Raymond, who Only gets about a yard or two. And given that Middle Tennessee allowed 60 a week ago, I wish our offense was playing a little bit better. Sub 2-minute timeout, 3rd and 4, nearly intercepted. In and out of the hands of Say, who finishes that possession with another dropped interception. 3rd down for the Hens. It's a screen for Ellison, who gets a block, gets another. And there goes Byron Ellison. Past the 35, the 30, 25, 20, stays in bounds. He gets it all the way to the 10. 63 yards on the screen. I thought he was going to lose yards originally, but instead it's our longest offensive play of the year. 3rd and goal. Here is Pizzella looking to scramble on the run. Hoisted up, and it's incomplete. Trying to get it to Tyree. We're just going to take the points. 27-yarder for Eli McGee is up. It is good. And Delaware adds to the lead. It's 10-3. This was the same score last year when we played these guys, and Middle Tennessee got the Hail Mary at the end of the first half. We're not going to let that happen again as we get the stop on the ground, and we'll get it back with 17 seconds. Pizzella looks to scramble on the run, gets a block. Pizzella to the 50. We've still got 2 timeouts in our back pocket. I think we can easily tack on 3. 2nd and inches, 4 seconds, up the middle, Salazar to the 25. We're going to quickly call the timeout at 3. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to bring the field goal unit out there. McGee from 41, it is right down Main Street. And the Blue Hens add to the lead here in our conference opener, 13-3 going into the break. Just like last year at the end of the first half, a buzzer beater score. This time it's a little bit more favorable to us rather than allowing a Hail Mary. Defense is looking really good. Offense has been a little subpar, but I do feel like they're kind of picking things up a little bit, getting into a groove. Really nice drive to end the half. Although we start on defense to open up the 3rd. And look at this hole. First play of the second half. Are you kidding? Brendan Haygood, 80 yards to the casa. And this continues to be a problem for us. We allow way too many big plays on the ground. It was a problem last year. It's been a problem this year. This cannot keep happening. 13-10. Jalen Bonds looking to repay the favor. Not quite a touchdown. But look at this. Fighting his way near the 40. A really good run for Bonds. He gets 34. 3rd and inches. Offense looking good, although Ellison is short. 4th and 2. We're going for it. We're close enough. Quick throw. Bowman into the open field. Touchdown. Delaware. Not just a 4th down conversion, but a touchdown. Jackson Bowman with 2 huge 4th down catches. That one results in a score, and it's 20-10. 2nd down for the Blue Raiders. Ryan Brown under pressure. Into traffic. It's caught. Wow, I didn't think they were going to make that play work. What a throw and catch by Carl Jenkins. Minute and a half left in the 3rd. Wide open. Oh, it's dropped. I mean, that is a brutal drop. That was right in the hands of Cason Stokes. Field goal is good, so it's now 13-20. Delaware holds on to a 7-point lead now. And we're moving it right down the field. 2nd and goal, sub 6 to go. Ty Salazar, he is in for a touchdown. A quick response by the Blue Jays. They get 3, we get 7. And it's a 2-score lead with less than 6 minutes to play. We're in a good spot, but this game isn't over. We saw what happened at Missouri State last year. Haygood on 3rd down, takes a shot from KT Say. He is going to feel that one when he wakes up tomorrow. They're going to go for it on 4th and inches. It's a pitch to the outside. Look at all that space. 1st and more. Good tackle by Taj Powell, but a nice 1st down run of about 13 for Jaden Wright. Brown is sacked on the following play. It's James Steele, the redshirt freshman, who brings him down, and they've got to hurry it up. They have us in a formation that we didn't really want, however. I decided not to call a timeout. Maybe that was a mistake. Look at all this room for Wright. Follows his blockers inside the 5. It's a touchdown for Jaden Wright. We should have just called the timeout and gotten a normal package back out there. We thought we could ad-lib a little bit, and it didn't really work. 3rd and 3. Pizzella off his back foot. It's caught. Salazar with the 1st down. And sometimes when this kid's trying to do too much, it ends up working. Up the middle on 3rd down. It's broken away. So the Middle Tennessee defense does get a stop, and they will get a chance to tie it. On 3rd down, they nearly get the 1st down. Good tackle by Josiah Taylor. They're hurrying back to the line. It's a 4th and inches with the game on the line. Brown looks to throw it. Under pressure. Hoists it up. Down the field. It is caught! KT Say gets cooked by Kareem Harris, who gets 54. Nearing the goal line, 3rd and 3. Incomplete in the back of the end zone, and we've got to get one more stop. 4th and 3. Here is Brown on the run. It is broken away. Multiple defenders there, including KT Say and DJ Kelly, and the Blue Hens will hang on to win it 27-20. A lot close than it needed to be. We really, again, did not play all that well against a team that's now 0-4 and does not appear to be very good. But we survived, we found a way, and we're now 1-0 in conference play. Steele Pizzella's got to be more efficient, though. He only completed about half of his throws. A lot of big plays in this game. Even though Ellison was quiet on the ground, Bonds with nearly 100 rushing yards. Ellison had the big screen. The passing game was really solid. Bowman with a couple big 4th down catches. And then defensively, not great, not horrible. A lot to work on. I think KT Say has been really disappointing, though, through 4 weeks. In this game, he got cooked on that big 4th down play. He dropped multiple easy interceptions. He does not look that good and has not been worth all of the NIL we've been paying him so far. And given that he's our superstar and our captain, his standard is higher than everybody else's, so he's got to play better. Into week 6, a rematch at the conference title game from a year ago against Liberty. We had a crazy double overtime loss against these guys in the regular season, but we got revenge on the road in the conference title where we won big. Now, unfortunately, in our last game, Jamarion Calabodi broke his collarbone, and he'll be out for about 2 months. So Trenton Gummer is now going to start opposite of DJ Kelly. I don't want Kenny Wosley to start on the outside because he's so good in the slot. Through 4 games, he has 10 TFLs. So I want to keep him as close to the line of scrimmage as possible because that's clearly when he's at his best. So you guys have been suggesting a lot of rivalry names for Liberty in the Discord. I'll keep it open, I guess, for another season or so. The Tidewater Throwdown, I would say, was probably my favorite so far. So far, Liberty's 2-2 up to this point. They're 1-1 in conference play. Their roster looks very different. No more Kanye Udo. He left in the portal. That freshman running back who they had with him, he's gone. Cam Davis got injured in their first game last year. He returns, and he's healthy now. They've also got Justin Marshall and Peyton Jones forming a really nice threesome. Their quarterback, Jalen Henderson, is gone. Thank God. That brother was cold. Instead, it's redshirt sophomore Ethan Houck, 6'4", 210, certainly not quite as fast, which is obviously the name of the game for this Liberty offense. They are very much predicated by the run game. That's where they excel. That's where they beat us a year ago. But our run defense got a lot better as the season went along, and that's how we were able to get revenge in the conference title. I'm hoping that's the case again this year because through 4 games, our run defense has been largely bad, to put it lightly. Up to this point, as we rock the all-black uniforms, we're going to a funeral, and hopefully it's not ours. Pizzella on 1st down. Look at all that space. I mean, this guy can really move. His game is very similar to Jalen Henderson's, the starter at Liberty last year, fittingly. On 1st down, Pizzella rolls out, has a wide-open Brandon Raymond, who is in for a touchdown. And Delaware marches right down the field and strike with an early score to make it 7-0. I think the offense started to finally look comfortable last week. We haven't really looked all that comfortable with Pizzella at quarterback yet. Davis loses 3 or 4 on 3rd down. It's Azir Lee. He'll be playing a little bit more at corner as well, especially in dime packages with the injury to Calabodi. How is that a fumble? His arm was in a forward throwing motion. That should be an incomplete pass. That is BS. It happened against Illinois, and it happens here. He is obviously throwing the ball. Am I going crazy? That is a pass, not a fumble. Guess what, though? Check this out. Byron Ellison. Ball don't lie. Touchdown, Delaware. And we're right back up by 7. It's like the fumble never even happened. So Liberty's going to get it back here in the second quarter, trailing by a touchdown. It's Peyton Jones. Whoop! KT Say got his ankle snatched again. His draft stock is plummeting. I mean, what is the deal with him? Cam Davis into the end zone for a touchdown, and Liberty ties the game at 14. So we could be looking at another really good matchup like the game against these guys in the regular season last year. Pizzella connects with Brandon Raymond past the 50. Breaks a tackle. Raymond past the 25. Stiff arms past the 20. A huge play for the junior. He gets 55 yards. 16 seconds now, 3rd and goal. Ellison fights for yardage, doesn't get it. We're going to let the clock run all the way down to about 3 seconds. Call the timeout. and we're going to take the point. It's blocked! What an end to the first half for Liberty. I wanted to just take the points, go into halftime with the lead, knowing we'd get the momentum. That didn't quite go to plan. That's Eli McGee's first missed kick of the entire series. A major buzzkill for Delaware as it's blocked by Prince Cottenham, the redshirt freshman. So Liberty's got to be feeling good because really this game should not be tied. We should be up, absolutely. Big sack, though, by Quair Price, bringing down the quarterback, Houck. Dylan Mann, though, hurt on the play. 3rd and long. Houck on the run. Throws it up, and it is broken away. Trenton Gummer in coverage. Our new starter, his first career start, joined by KT Say. 3rd down. Raymond unable to break away from the tackle. He doesn't get that much, maybe 5 or 6. Liberty gets it back, still tied at 14, 2:47 left in the 3rd. Short throw for the tight end with nowhere to go. Josiah Taylor, I think, has absolutely met the match as our starting Mike linebacker who we got in the portal. Pizellas, though, is sacked at the 1. Another mistake by the redshirt sophomore quarterback, and we're just going to have to run it on 3rd and long. Bonds gets it to about the 5, so at least we avoid the safety. No score change going into the 4th, remains tied at 14. 2nd down, Peyton Jones gets a block inside the 10, the 5, into the end zone for a touchdown. And the Flames take their first lead of the night as it's 21-14, 5 to play, 3rd and 7. Pizzella scrambles around. He's got plenty of room to run, and he'll take full advantage. Look at Pizzella. Look at all that room. Past the 35, the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Steal! Pizzella from 72 ties it at 21. Look, this kid's going to make a lot of mistakes, but I don't think Nick Minicucci's pulling that off. We are knotted up, and now Liberty gets it back with less than 5 to go. Ethan Houck hoists it up. Wide open, horrible coverage by Azir Lee, and an easy catch over the shoulders into the bucket for Landry Burrell. With about 2:20 to go, look at all that room. It's Burrell again inside the 5 to about the 1. Where Price, the defensive tackle, is hurt. Liberty looking to gain the lead here on 1st and goal. It's a jet sweep. Back to Burrell. A huge drive for the senior receiver. And Liberty is right back on top, 28-21. 99 seconds for Steele Pizzella. It's 3rd and 10. Up the middle. Incomplete. A lot of contact. Should there have been a flag? 4th and 10. Pizzella under pressure. That one is tipped and incomplete. So Liberty gets the stop. They would choose some clock and seal the deal. 28-21. The Flames take the next installment of the Tidewater Throwdown. They're 2-0 against us in the regular season. We won the game that mattered, but they beat us in a heartbreaker 2 years in a row. Pizzella, 9 of 18, 154, 2 touchdowns. The efficiency through the air wasn't really there, but he had 102 yards on the ground. He also had that really big fumble, though, that in hindsight may have costed us the game. Brandon Raymond, 5 catches for 106 yards. The problem is the rest of the receiver room had nothing. 0. Defensively, I thought we were okay. Not great. Better than we were in the regular season game last year against these guys, but pretty mediocre. As I simulate the week, we have a couple guys narrowing their list down to 3. The guys who we had come in for visits against Middle Tennessee, we are not in first place for them. That is unfortunate. It looks like Navy is going to get Moon and Louisiana Tech is going to get Theo Tam. I don't think it's worth wasting our time on those guys. I think we're just going to have to take them off the board and cut our losses. It's unfortunate because I wanted both of them, but we don't have a lot of recruiting hours to begin with. So we need to make the most of the just 275 that we get each week. Now we've got Jacksonville State. I've had this game circled on the calendar because I want revenge. We lost against these guys in our final game of the regular season last year. It should have costed us a spot in the conference championship. Luckily, it did not, but it should have. So far, Jacksonville State is 2-4, 0-2 in conference play with losses to Sam Houston, their only win, and New Mexico State. The Gamecocks, I don't think, are quite as talented as last year. There's 6'8" receiver left in the portal, but they still have quarterback Caden Creel, who is probably the best quarterback in the conference in terms of rating. He's an 82 overall. And look who their new number 1 receiver is. It's Bryson Graves, a familiar face. He had a great season pros in the slot last year, and he's been even better so far at Jacksonville State. He's not quite 6'8", but I'm excited to play against him because he was one of my favorite guys on our team last year, and I really wanted to keep him, but we didn't have enough for everyone. He ends up staying in conference. I thought he could have gotten a bigger gig at a better school, but now he gets to return home. Now as a member of the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Third down, both teams looking for their third win of the year. Creel's pass is caught for a first down. I don't know how Bryson Graves held on to that one, but he did. Graves already with over 300 yards through Jacksonville State's first half of the year. Creel keeps it on the option. He's got room and slides it around the 10. Really good opening drive for the Gamecocks, looking to punch it in on 3rd and 2. Creel, end zone, nearly caught. A good diving effort, but the pass is dropped, and they're going to kick the field goal. Chip shot from 22 is good. Is he okay? Doesn't look it. Our offense moving it slowly but efficiently down the field. Pizzella on the run, scrambles, it is caught. It's Matthew McKinley Daniels in for a touchdown, and the Blue Hens will take the lead. Our first touchdown of the game, and it's 7-3. Now late in the half, here is Creel up the middle, picked off. Jalen Bell with the interception, and Delaware will get it back with a chance to add to the lead before the break. He had that receiver strapped in. Really good coverage, really good play on the ball. 2nd and inches, Pizzella has a wide open man. It's Raymond, gets a block. Raymond to about the 20-yard line. 3 catches, 74 yards. It's every week. He's making big play after big play. He's been a lot better, I think, than Sean Wilson even was last year. 2nd and 4, nowhere to go. A sack for the Gamecocks. And now it's 3rd down and 8. Pizzella to the right side on the run. It is caught. Salazar inside the 5, and we're looking to move it quickly. 2nd and goal. Ellison doesn't get it. We're going to call our last time out with 9 seconds. We've got 2 plays to punch it in. 3rd and goal. Quick throw. Touchdown! Matthew McKinley Daniels. 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns in the first half for the redshirt sophomore, and we'll go into the break up 14-3. Not a perfect half, but I think our offense looked really good in the second quarter. We were able to get things going. The defense, I think, is playing pretty well. And not to mention, we start with the ball early in the 3rd. Here is Pizzella, rolls left, wide open. Nick Tyree, touchdown Delaware. And the Blue Hens are turning this game into a blowout. It's 21-3. Talk about revenge on a team who we had a heartbreaking loss against a year ago. 3rd and 1, nowhere to go for the running back, Jalen Likely, and they're going to kick a field goal here. Garrison Ripa from 47, it is good, and so that'll make it 21-6. Delaware's going to get it back up by 15 points on 3rd down. Pizzella, final play of the quarter, has Raymond. Raymond looks to outrun the defense, and Brandon Raymond with another big game. He's over 100 yards again. We move into the 4th, 21-6, 2nd and inches. Pizzella lobs it up for the end zone. It is caught. What a throw by Steele Pizzella. Matthew McKinley Daniels, 3 receptions tonight, 3 touchdowns. The booth ended up reviewing it, but yeah, he got the feed in. Excellent footwork, excellent throw, and it's 28-6. 3rd down and 2 for the Gamecocks. This one starting to look out of reach for them. Josiah Taylor brings down Likely. Our run defense finally playing well for once, and I might have spoke too soon. Look at all this room on 4th and inches for Likely past the 30. Excellent blocking. Did you see early on that play our one defender get pancaked to the ground? 2nd down. Here is Creel under pressure on the blitz. He'll look to run it. He can really move. Inside the 5, out of bounds at about the 2. And now Jacksonville State looks to finally score their first touchdown of the game. Here is Creel. He's got it in the end zone for a touchdown into the hands of Cam Bell. Now Jacksonville State will go for 2, try to cut the lead to 14. As Creel will look for the screen for Gabe Glover, and he is well shy. Noah Jefferson brings him down. The onside kick is swiftly recovered by Delaware, and as we ended up chewing clock, we did a little bit more than chewing clock, because Jared Porter had a wide open rushing lane resulting in a touchdown, adding to our lead as it's 35-12. What a showing for the Blue Hens in this game. 4th down and 11. Creel hoisted up down the field, and it is intercepted. Jalen Ross picks it off, and Delaware blows out Jacksonville State and improves to a record of 2-1 in Conference USA play. We beat an opponent who, of course, we failed to defeat last year, Steel Pizzella. Look at those numbers. Oh, my God. For a guy who's been up and down as of late, woo! 15 of 16, 267, 4 tubs, 316 passer rating. Not bad. Now, he did have -7 rushing yards, but I'll take that in exchange for that good of a game through the air. Raymond had 128. McKinley Daniels scored every time he touched the ball. And the defense played pretty well. We didn't get a ton of big plays minus the 2 interceptions, but I think that was easily our best game of the year. The offense played really well. The defense played really well. That was the first time all season that our team looked like a cohesive unit on both sides of the ball. It brings us to 3-3 as we play against FIU. We had that really close win against them last year, which prevented them from making it to the conference title. That game ended up being the difference. They're off to a really good start in a 3-way tie for 2-0 in conference play, and we're looking to spoil the fun for a second straight year. They beat Western Kentucky 40-0. Yikes. Their only losses are against Nebraska, a blowout, and UConn. They lost by 25 to them at home. That's frightening because we have to play UConn later in the year. So their highest-rated player is their quarterback, J.J. Cole, who, if you remember, was injured when we played them last year, and instead it was the former Delaware quarterback, Zach Marker, who started. Well, Cole's back, and he is an absolute unit. 6'7", 250. He is large, and he's got a cannon of an arm. This is a really cool storyline, though. So Zion Kearney, their number 1 receiver, transferred from Wisconsin. Eugene Hilton Jr., their number 2 receiver, also transferred from Wisconsin. But that's just the start of it. Eugene Hilton Jr. is the son of T.Y. Hilton, the former receiver with the Indianapolis Colts who had a bunch of really good years in the 2010s. And if you remember where T.Y. Hilton went to school, it was FIU. So the game, manually, on its own, had T.Y. Hilton's son in the first offseason travel to T.Y.'s school. That is really dope. Shout out to EA. They don't always get it right, but that's really, really cool. What are the odds that T.Y. Hilton's son, who in this game has nothing to do with FIU, transfers to his dad's school and brings along one of his Wisconsin teammates in the process? Cole's pass tipped and incomplete by Kenny Wosley. This guy has a bazooka on his arm. The transfer from Iowa State. Long field goal try for the Panthers, but apparently everyone's kicker is just God now. Robert Zermeka from around 58 yards makes it 3-0. Delaware with their first drive of the game, 3rd and inches. Byron Ellison Jr. is short. And we've got a decision to make, 4th and inches. I decided to punt it. I thought it was too early. In the rain, last year when we played these guys, it was also raining, as Cole is sacked. It's Cole Carmichael, the transfer from Miami, who brings him down. They would make up the yardage on 2nd down, though. Now it's 3rd and 6. Cole up the middle with a bullet into the hands of Eugene Hilton Jr. for a gain of 24. And now nearing the end zone, it's a touchdown for Florida International. DeMarcus Harris Knowles with the score, and it's 10-0. We've got some damage control to do on offense. Here is Pizzella at the game of his life a week ago. How is that a fumble? His arm was in the motion of throwing the ball. That's now the 3rd time that's happened this year. That is ridiculous. I can't tell if I'm just going crazy or if it's obvious his arm was in a forward throwing motion. Fumble! Ball is scooped up by the defense. Ball don't lie. Ball never has lied. Ball never will lie. We get it back. KT Say with the recovery. They gave KT Say credit for the force, even though he very clearly did not force it. As Ty Salazar gets it past the 40. 3 minutes to go in the first half. 3rd and long. Can we take advantage of the turnover? Pizzella scrambles on the run, incomplete. So to answer the question, no, we do not take advantage of the turnover, and FIU gets it back up 10-0 with 1:15 left in the first half. J.J. Cole sacked on the play. Defense has got to take advantage of the sack. We can't let them drive. We can't let them take time off the clock. It's on 3rd and 13. Cole wide open for Eugene Hilton Jr. to the 5. That was pitiful coverage. I mean, seriously. 2nd and goal. Cole, short throw, touchdown, FIU. That one is hauled in by Sean Burke, and it's 17-0. Can Delaware score before the end of the half? Pizzella gets it past the 50. We've got 10 seconds and 1 timeout. We are not going to use it just yet, but this clock is ticking. 7, 6, 5. Got to do something quick. Perfect. In the hands of Salazar. We call the timeout with 4 seconds. We've got to take the field goal. We do not have the budget to be playing with house money. The kick is up, and it is not even close. From Eli McGee. Wide to the right. A fitting end to what has been a horrible first half. Coming off our best game of the year against Jacksonville State, and we come out looking like this. 17-0. The defense looks questionable. The offense has been a complete joke. But we do start with it in the second half. Pizzella hoisted up for Salazar. There's the big play we needed. We know we've got to get moving. How about a gain of 40 to wake us up? Now a 2nd and 12. Pizzella dances around in the pocket. He is sacked for a big loss. The FIU defense with the play. It's Orlando Sims-Timmons. 3rd down and 21. Look at all that space. Pizzella, too easy. Gets the first inside the 10, absorbs the big hit, but a huge first down for Delaware. Now it's 3rd and goal. Salazar in motion. He's had some really big catches in this game. This one is caught. Nick Tyree to about the 5. I just want points. I will take anything you can give me. 23-yarder for McGee is good, and the shutout is no more. The lead is within 2 scores, but we're still not looking good. It's 17-3. J.J. Cole, 20 seconds to go in the 3rd. On 3rd and 10, that one is broken away and complete. They're going to settle for the field goal. Kick is up. Kick is good. And it's 20-3. A lot of work to do going into the 4th. We didn't cut into the lead into the 3rd. We just traded field goals. Pizzella on the run. Throws it up into the hands of Salazar. How is he making some of these plays? I mean, this guy is a magician throwing the ball. And sure enough, we would finish with the touchdown. Jalen Bonds high stepping his way into the end zone. And hold on a minute, this game is not quite over. 20-10, 3rd down and 6. Here is Cole. Clean pocket, broken away, incomplete. Noah Jefferson got a hand on it. 3rd and 10. Is the comeback bit alive? Pizzella on the run. Does not get the first, but he is close. 4th down and a yard. We obviously have to go for it, given where we are with the clock, given our field position. Bonds, the running back in the backfield to the right side. He gets the handoff, and he does not get the first. And the comeback bid looks like it will be short-lived. Nearing the 2-minute timeout on 1st and goal. Cole on the read op. What is KT Say doing? Why was he following the blocker? I cannot believe how bad KT Say has been this year. This is genuinely crazy. He's supposed to be our best player. 27-10, 3rd and 22. Pizzella fumbles it again. It's picked up by Florida International, and that will do it. 27-10, a really bad loss. Our worst of the year, one of our worst of the series. Coming off our best win of the year against Jacksonville State. We do a complete 180. I don't know what happened. Steele Pizzella had some really impressive throws. Off platform, out of structure. He hasn't thrown an interception in like a month, but he fumbled it twice in this game. He had some good runs, but he can't be coughing up the ball like this. Salazar with 112 yards. He was really good. Raymond a lot quieter, though. Defensively, not horrible, but we really were not great. We had the big fumble force, but otherwise, our defense was pretty unimpressive, and the offense was terrible. So that pushes us now to 3-4, and our bowl eligibility is on the line. Forget competing for a conference title. Now, last year it looked unlikely, and we found a way. It's very unlikely again. We had a couple prospects visit this week, an offensive tackle, Josh Bowie, and cornerback, Jordan Abanikanda. We already were not doing very well in these battles. We kind of needed to win big, I feel like, to have a chance with those guys. And given that we lost, I think we're not going to get either one of those players. That brings us into Week 9. Western Kentucky has been one of, if not the worst teams in the FBS this year. This is our get-right game. These guys are 1-7, and it's a miracle that they had that one win to begin with. They really should have made the conference title last year. We ended up stealing their spot, and their program has spiraled ever since. Now, granted, they've had a tough schedule, but they lost to FIU 40-0. Ball State 38-7. Blown out by Liberty. Now, they have had to play Oregon and Texas, and their lone win comes against Kennesaw State, who's just as horrible. But, there's no reason you should be losing 31-0 against the Sam Houston team. That really isn't very good. Their defense is absolutely horrible. Their offense isn't much better. Their best player is a 78 overall. Their team rating is a 57. I mean, they are a glorified FCS team, and that's not even doing it justice to the word glorified. These guys are horrible. Derek Steets is a true freshman. He's their starting quarterback. He has not been great, but to be fair, nobody has been great. This is probably the worst team in the game. If we don't blow these guys out, there is a real problem. On first down, Pizzella up the middle. Brandon Raymond, quick touchdown. For an offense that looked pretty lifeless last week, that's the start we needed, even though we're going up against Western Kentucky's JV wheelchair team for the School of the Deaf and Blind. Third down, they're going to keep it up the middle. Nowhere to go. What a hit by KT Say. And they're going to go for it on fourth down. You know what? Screw it. I like the call. What do they have to lose? They're 1-7. Stites under pressure, and he is sacked by Taj Powell. First sack of the year comes at a pretty good time. The Blue Hens get it back, and we will look to score before the end of the first. Jalen Bonds lowers the shoulder for the touchdown, and Delaware leads 14-0. Picture-perfect first quarter. Let's get more of that here in the second. Now, the Toppers are moving it a little bit. 3rd and 8. Steets is going to look to run again. He's once more just short. They have no reason not to go for it. They went for it on their own side of the field as Steets goes up the middle, gets the first, into the red zone, slides down near the 10. He's been aggressive on the ground, and you know what? He really hasn't been half bad. He's going to look to do it again. Superman dives into the end zone for a touchdown. And Western Kentucky is on the board. It is 14-7. 3rd down and 12. Pizzella looks to throw it on the run. He's got Raymond open. Makes the catch. Really nice grab with 2 defenders sandwiched in between him. Now the minute and a half. 3rd down. That one is caught for a touchdown. And Delaware adds to the lead. It's 21-7. Scott Moore with the score. We'll see if the defense can get a stop going into the break. 3rd down. Here is Steets. Goes short. It's caught. Not quite a first down. It gives them a 4th and manageable. 4th and 3. They, interestingly, decided to punt it, even though they've been aggressive all day. 25 seconds left. Here's Pizzella on the run. Throws it up down the field. It is intercepted. Really no harm. It's an arm punt before the end of the half, unless they get a good return out of this. Hold on. It's Jamie Paris, the true freshman, who gets them good field position. I was a little worried with 14 seconds. Maybe they try to do some damage, but then I realized they're 1-7 Western Kentucky. I thought we looked awesome in the first quarter. Second quarter, not so much. I mean, it's still a 2-score game, and Western Kentucky does start with the ball. Steets on the first play, throws it up, and it is caught! KT Say gets posterized by Zion Taylor. And now on 2nd and goal, Steets, end zone, intercepted! DJ Kelly picks it off, and we get the ball back after allowing a huge play to open up the 3rd. Now, the one problem is we're starting about 3 inches away from the end zone, but I guess 3 inches is a lot in this case because Jalen Bonds gets us out of safety territory, and now we can actually try to move the ball. 3rd and 13, Pizzella up the middle. He does not get the first. It's a gain of about 8. We're going to punt it and give it back to the Hilltoppers. Here's a nice run for Parrish. Parker Parrish down the field. Another big run play allowed by Delaware, and it is a 1-score game. Parker Parrish, the redshirt freshman, makes it 21-14. 2nd and inches for Delaware. Here is Pizzella on the option. Pizzella, juke move past the 30 near the 25. Our offense has got to be aggressive. I mean, the fact that this game is within 7 is concerning. Pizzella looks to run again. Gets a block. Pizzella into the end zone for a touchdown. A quick and swift response for the Blue Hens, and it's 28-14. Western Kentucky back with it. 1st and 5 at the 30. They'll go back to Parker Parrish. To the right side. These guys take the worst tackle angles I've ever seen. Parker Parrish has done it again. 70-yard score, and we're right back to square one. I mean, these tackle angles are just so bad. 3rd down and 11. Pizzella is intercepted. What is happening? Xavier Griffin with the pick. This is the worst team I've ever seen in this game, and they've got us on the ropes right now. 3rd and 2 to start the 4th. Big tackle by Taylor. They're going to go for it on 4th and inches. They've been aggressive on 4th down through the course of the game. Steets to Parrish. Gets the first. Inside the 20, hit hard by KT Say. Good tackle, but Say is having another bad game. 3rd down and 4. Steets looks to throw. Under pressure, takes a shot. How is that not a fumble? If all the other plays that we've had are fumbles, how is that not one? 4th and 4. Steets scrambles. End zone. Nearly intercepted. Should have been picked off, but we got the stop. We would choose some clock. Jared Porter would add a touchdown, and it's a 2-score lead in favor of Delaware. Western Kentucky would march down the field, however, and they did so really quick. Minute 22 to go, 2nd and goal. Steets looks to run, and he tries to hop in. He cannot. Now it's 3rd and goal with a minute 10. Steets looks to throw it under pressure, and Kenny Wosley Jr. soars into the backfield on the blitz. 4th and goal, looking to go for it. Steets, end zone, high pointed and incomplete. So we win the game by multiple possessions. That's the good news. The bad news is that we played like garbage. Western Kentucky is 1-7. They are the worst team in the country, and they outgained us in terms of total yards, in terms of yards per play, in terms of the run game, and in terms of the passing game, in terms of yards per attempt. Pizzella, 2 interceptions. He's been good about being secure in terms of interceptions in conference play until today. Thank God for Brandon Raymond. 11 for 163. He is a machine. Defensively, we really were not very good. We've had some up and down moments in conference play. Today, there was a lot of down. We did have the big interception by Kelly. We sent a little bit of pressure. We got some stops in the 4th. But our run defense, man, what is the deal? They allow so many big plays. It's like every week. We've got to find a way to not let this happen. I think it's more the secondary allowing big plays on the ground because they're horrible in terms of their tackle and pursuit angles. On the bright side, though, Brandon Raymond wins the Offensive Player of the Week for the Conference USA. I kind of figured this would be our only year with him being really good because he's probably going to enter the transfer portal. Forget that. He might go to the league. I mean, he's an 88 overall as a true junior. He's probably good enough to declare. He's certainly playing at that high of a level. He may very well declare for the NFL draft, which would be really cool. So with 4 games to go, we're currently 4-4. Do we have any chance at a conference title? Maybe. We're only half a game out of 2nd place. We beat Middle Tennessee, and we still have to play against New Mexico. We've got 2-2 Sam Houston, though. 2-6 overall. They've struggled out of conference, but have tried to put themselves in this race. They started the year slow, blown out by TCU. They lost to UConn as well. They got blown out by Kennesaw State, who's one of the worst teams in the country. But they did not have any trouble with Western Kentucky. They won 31-0. They had a little bit easier of a time than we did, it appears. The Bearcats are the only team in Conference USA who we did not get to play against last year, so I'm excited to see them this year. They've got a couple good receivers. Jerian Parker, their running back, is out. Chris Blair, redshirt sophomore, is the quarterback, 6'3" pocket passer, who's really accurate. His throw power isn't the best, his scrambling ability isn't the best, but he's a guy who, in structure, can make some plays. We've definitely got to find a way to bounce back from last week. I know we won by multiple possessions, but it doesn't really feel like it. We didn't play well at all against a really bad team. 3rd and 9, Pizzella tries to escape up front. He cannot. The Bearcats get the sack, and we'll have to settle for a 34-yard field goal try from McGee, and the Blue Hens lead it 3-0. Here's our first look at the Sam Houston offense. 3rd down and 8. Blair looks to throw it. Nobody's open. Sends it up the middle where Noah Jefferson swats it away. Our offense would march down the field to end the first quarter and add a late touchdown from Scott Moore. We're up by 2 scores. We're playing well. But remember, in the Western Kentucky game last week, it was 14-0 after the first quarter. On 3rd down, what a hit! Josiah Taylor does not let the running back, Robert Tubman, the true freshman, get the first down. We get it back on offense, and we get stopped on 3rd and short ourselves. Byron Ellison loses a yard. We're going to go for it with 5 minutes left in the quarter. Short throw is caught. That's Jalen Bonds inside the 20. A big conversion for Delaware, and we are knocking on the doorstep of the end zone. 1st and goal. This time, Jared Porter walks the red carpet. He's able to score, and it's 17-0. We have certainly come out with a vengeance after our poor performance a week ago. 3rd down and 10. Blair looking down the field. Batted away, nearly intercepted by Kelly. Through 3 drives, I think Sam Houston maybe has 1 first down, and they've got like 30 or 40 yards. It's not pretty. Our defense has really shown up. Pizzella looking down the field. Salazar, what a catch! Moss is the defender, bringing it to the 30, a gain of 45 yards. How did he pull that one off? 3rd and 4, Pizzella on the run. Salazar does not hold on this time. I'm just going to take the 3. 22-yarder is good for McGee. We've scored all 4 times we've gotten the ball so far. It's 20-0. Here is Sam Houston. Blair looks to throw it on first down. Scrambles to the right side. Blair's pass is caught. Finally, a big play for the Bearcats. A really big play. Gets him to about the 40-yard line. That's Kyan Barry Johnson. Now on first down, up the middle. Where have these guys been all day? Ontario Smith Jr. with a gain of 38. Under a minute left in the quarter on second down. Blair into traffic. It's picked off. Jalen Bell with another interception. And sometimes when you're playing in traffic, you'll get hit by a car. That's exactly what happens for Sam Houston, and we'll get it back with 20 seconds left in the half. Pizzella has nowhere to go on the blitz, and this drive quickly comes to an end. But a really good half. The offense has been very productive. The defense has pitched a shutout so far, and the one good drive Sam Houston had ended off with a turnover. I definitely feel encouraged after an absolute stinker a week ago against the Hilltoppers. 3rd and 1 to start the 3rd. Tooman, nowhere to go. Josiah Taylor brings him down. We'd get it back on offense. We'd bring it into the red zone. As on 3rd down, Pizzella looking for McKinley Daniels, who cannot hold on. We've had 5 scoring drives, but only 2 touchdowns today. The one blemish for Delaware in this game is we're not doing a good job of finishing drives, even though we're doing a great job of moving the ball. On first down for Sam Houston, it's intercepted. Jalen Bell is second in the game. Bell inside the 5, into the end zone. It's a pick 6. If our offense isn't going to score touchdowns, I guess the defense will take on the load instead. 30-0 lead for the Blue Hens, and this game has gotten really out of hand really quick. Sam Houston looking to finally score. It's 3rd down and medium. Looking to throw it as Blair. That one is dropped in and out of the hands of Ontario Smith. They're just going to kick the field goal. They want points. I don't really blame them. 45-yarder for Nico Ottamanelli is good, and Sam Houston's finally on the board. It's 30-3. On second down and 9 with 30 to go in the 3rd. Pizzella up the middle for Raymond. Breaks both tackles, and there he goes. 79 yards to the house for a touchdown, and Delaware leads it 37-3. I mean, my goodness, has this game gotten out of hand. A complete onslaught. Both teams ended up bringing the backups in. As Sam Houston finally finds the end zone in the 4th, it's Peter Gerador with a touchdown, another true freshman running back. We brought in almost all of the backups, but Byron Ellison snuck out there for one more run. It's a 38-yard touchdown, and Delaware adds another score. We would end up missing the extra point, but we do win the game by a final score of 43-10. And for a team who really did not play very well last week, this is the bounce back that we needed. Our offense, I'm pretty sure, scored every time they got the ball, except for the final drive in the first half, where the only reason why we didn't score is because we ran out of time. The defense looked a lot better. The starters only allowed 3 points in this game. The run defense, 2.5 yards a carry. That's huge. For a team that's had a lot of trouble stopping the run, we excelled at it today. Pizzella, 17 of 22, 301 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was great. Ellison and Bonds were very effective on the ground. And then Brandon Raymond, 8 catches, 165 yards and a touchdown. I'm running out of good things to say about him. He has probably been the best offensive player in the conference this season. And again, forget the transfer portal with Raymond. I think the conversation shifts to the NFL. That's how good he's been. Not to mention Jalen Bell with 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 early in the 3rd quarter. Bell would wind up winning not only the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week, but he also won the National Defensive Player of the Week. For all of college football, the best defensive player in America was Jalen Bell. Without question, our best win of the entire series so far. I get Sam Houston's pretty bad, but we mopped the floor with them. A really nice tune-up going into our biggest game of the year so far as we set to face off against New Mexico State, who's 4-1 in conference play. If we win this game, we actually have a real opening to the conference title. Right now, it's a 3-way tie between Middle Tennessee, FIU, and New Mexico State for first place. We beat Middle Tennessee. We lost to FIU, and now we need to find a way to beat the Aggies. And if we do, our chances of making the conference title, while not a given, are wide open. These guys have had a really solid season. Their only loss, like us, came to Florida International in conference play. And look, they struggled with Western Kentucky too. They only won by 2 at home. Much like us, New Mexico State has built their roster through the transfer portal, although their best player is an 88 overall freshman kicker. This is where things get a little creepy, though. Remember how FIU, their 2 receivers, came from the same program? That's the case again here. Nathan Leacock and Tretch Kanahuna both came from North Carolina. And to make the story even stranger, Tretch Kanahuna spent most of his career at Wisconsin, the same program that both of those FIU guys came from. That's kind of creepy. Their quarterback, meanwhile, is redshirt senior Ryan Staub, a well-traveled veteran who was on Tennessee's roster as a backup, but started some games as a redshirt sophomore for Colorado. And there was a point in time where it looked like he might be the replacement for Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, that didn't entirely work out, and now here he is at New Mexico State, leading one of the best teams in our conference in, without question, the biggest game of the year, I would argue, for both of these teams. I think the winner really pencils themselves into a good spot in terms of making the conference title. Defense with an early stop. Great tackle by James Steele. They're going to go for it on their own 40, 2 minutes into the game, and give them credit. It works out. The Aggies end up getting the first down. A nice run by DeAndre Hardiman Jr., the talented running back, who they also landed in the portal. 3rd and 13, a big-time sack by Quair Price, bringing down Ryan Staub. So we'll get the ball back on offense. Our defense played great against Sam Houston. The starters only allowed 3 points. We'll see if the offense can match that performance as Bozzella throws out at the sack. I don't think we punted once last week, but we have to punt here. Now into the second quarter, 3rd and 10. Staub, short throw. That's to Hardiman with nowhere to go. Josiah Taylor brings him down. He's been one of the unsung heroes of this defense. I would argue he's been better than Gavin Moole was last year at linebacker for a large fraction of the price. The field goal attempt is good, however, from 33 for Tualu, and it's 3-0. Bozzella looks to scramble inside the 5, into the end zone. First touchdown of the game is scored by the legs of Steele Bozzella, and Delaware leads it 7-3. Here comes New Mexico State, 3rd and 3, final play before the 2-minute warning. Hardiman nowhere to go. Guess who? Josiah Taylor brings him down. It's a real shame we only have Taylor for 1 year because he's become one of my favorite players on this defense. 2nd and 10, Bozzella has his man. It's Ellison. I wasn't even trying to throw it to Ellison. I was trying to get it to Ty Salazar, but both guys were so wide open, it didn't matter who caught it. With about 40 seconds, the Aggies are able to get the stop and stall the drive. Luckily, we are in field goal range, though. It's a 44-yarder for Eli McGee. He was perfect last year. He certainly has not been perfect this year, but his kick is good, and it's 10-3 in favor of the Blue Hens. 30 seconds left for New Mexico State. Staub under pressure, and he is sacked by Josiah Taylor. That was probably one of the best halves I've ever seen by a linebacker in my life. I mean, he was all over the field. He had to have had 3 or 4 TFLs, finishes off with the sack. And our defense, which I think has been very suspect this year, seems to really be playing their best football right now. Into the 3rd down and 7. Bozzella under pressure, trying to avoid the sack, and he's unable to. It's Jordan LeBron Downey. What a name. He would have had to have been born in the 2000s, well before the GOAT debate even started. How did his parents know? Here comes New Mexico State marching right down the field. Staub flicks it into the end zone, and we're tied. Knotted up at 10 apiece. DeAndre Hardiman Jr. with the score, and it is even at 10. On 1st down, Byron Ellison spins out of the tackle. Ellison tries to get a block. He does. Great job by Raymond. No block, no rock. Ellison gets it near the 20. Our offense is certainly responding quickly. Play action for Bonds. Bozzella, touchdown. Matthew McKinley Daniels with the score, and the Blue Hens are right back on top. That was quick. It's now 17-10. Final play of the quarter, 3rd and 3. Staub looks to throw it. His pass is incomplete. He took a shot getting rid of that ball, and we'll move into the 4th at 17-10. New Mexico State decided to punt it to start the quarter. Probably the smart call. Bozzella intercepted. Wow, that completely changes the course of this game. It's picked off by Nate Robinson Jr. I don't think he's related to the basketball player Nate Robinson, although that would be pretty cool. Staub keeps it himself on the option, fumbles the ball, and Delaware's got it. Noah Jefferson forces it away, and it's recovered by Jalen Bell. One of the biggest turnovers of our season, and now we'll look to choose some clock. 3rd and 4. Pizzella scrambles, looks to run, gets the first with a juke move, and he slides past the 30. Hats off to the offensive line for giving him all that time. 3rd and 1. Pizzella scrambles up the middle again. He gets another first down, and the Aggies are going to start using their timeouts. One more first down probably seals it. 3rd and 3, no more timeouts. Short throw, Salazar gets the first, and that will do it. Delaware has won 3 games in a row, is now bowl eligible, and while we don't control our own fate for the conference title, it becomes a lot more feasible. We knock off the Aggies in a low-scoring game, 17-10. The offense had certainly not their best performance, but our defense was fantastic. Pizzella, after a great game last week, not so much this week. Only completed half of his throws, had a bad interception. He had some good runs, though, down the stretch. Through the air, McKinley Daniels with a score. Raymond quiet for his standards, only 3 catches. The defense, though, was phenomenal. Josiah Taylor was all over the field. And then that fumble, forced by Jefferson, recovered by Bell. That was one of the biggest plays of our season. We're now 6-4, 5-2 in conference with only one more game left to play of Conference USA action. We did get some bad news, though. DJ Kelly, one of our starting corners, ended up breaking his thumb. He'll be out for the regular season. So Kelly and Kyler Bodie, the 2 starting outside corners, are both out for our last in-conference game against Missouri State. Trenton Gummer and Jalen Ross will start on the outside because, again, we need to keep Kenny Rosalie in the slot because he is a monster in that role, and I don't want to take him away from that. We don't fully control our own fate in Conference USA play, but I like our chances. We are in 2nd place right now. The one kicker is that FIU still controls their own fate because they've beaten both us and New Mexico State. So we would need FIU to lose one of their last 2 games, and we're going to have to win our last game in order to get there. Missouri State is only 2-8 this season. They have not been very good. This is a really important matchup, so I don't want to take these guys lightly. They have a very talented freshman quarterback in Alan Reich, but the fact of the matter is they only have 2 wins. We've got to take care of business. If we lose this game, we're out of Conference USA title contention. And remember last year, in our final in-conference game of the regular season, we lost. We still have one more game after this, but this is the one that's really important, and we start with an early sack. DeMarcus Riddick brings down Reich. We ended up getting a stop, would get it back on offense. We had the crazy comeback last year in this building against Missouri State, as that one is caught by Raymond, gets about 7. We're going to go for it on 4th down and 3. We were very aggressive against these guys last year. It paid off, but it does not pay off to start this game. Byron Ellison loses a yard, and the 4th down try is unsuccessful. Into the 2nd, big hit by, take a guess, Kenny Wosley Jr., and they're going to bring out the field goal team. They hit like almost a 60-yarder against us last year, and that was without the cheesy freshman kickers in these recruiting classes. This one's from 55, and it's good by Josh Steele, who's a 75 overall junior. What is in the water for these Missouri State kickers? On 1st down, wide open is Raymond. Look at all that room. He gets it near the 30-yard line. The offense is off to another slow start, kind of like last week. We've got to get things rolling. Nice little play fake. Pizzella on the run. He's got McKinley Daniels, who brings it to about the 5-yard line. Now nearing the goal line. 1st and goal with less than 3 to go in the first half. Pizzella looks like an option pitch. Sends it to Ellison. And Byron Ellison Jr. is in for a score. Delaware is on the board, and we lead it 7-3. 3rd and 10, minute 20 left in the first half. Alan Reich scrambles up the middle, and he does not get it. KT Say comes in like a heat-seeking missile, and Reich wants nothing to do with him lowering his shoulder, and I don't blame him. 30 seconds left in the half. It's Brandon Raymond on the post route. He gets it to about the 10. 4 catches, 80 yards. Another busy first half for Raymond. 3rd and 10 with still 2 timeouts. Short throw, Ellison makes a man miss, and he jukes his way into the end zone for a touchdown. 2 first-half scores for our starting running back, Byron Ellison Jr. The offense certainly looked a little slow in this game, but 2 late touchdowns to end the first half put us up 14-3 in our final Conference USA regular season game of the year. We look to win our 6th game in conference play. 3rd and goal early in the 3rd. Pizzella, it's his turn. A rushing touchdown for the redshirt sophomore quarterback. and Delaware makes it 21-3. It looked like we were going to have a competitive game for a while, but now this has turned into a blowout. Third down for Missouri State. Reich down the field. It is caught. Horrible coverage by Gummer. A long 54-yard touchdown for Amari Wetzel, the 81 overall receiver, the best player on their team, and it's 21-10. I'm excited to get our starting corners back over the next couple of weeks because that was hideous coverage. 3rd and 3. Pizzella's pass is broken away, looking for McKinley Daniels. You know what? If Missouri State scores a touchdown, they can make this interesting. I mean, we came back by even more points against these guys last year, although we get a nice sack on the blitz to end the third. Josiah Taylor, again, makes the play. And now it's a 3rd and 16 to start the fourth. Here is Reich under more pressure, has an open man. They have a chance for the first. They don't get it, but Bryson Dorsey was close. He got 13. They ended up punting it anyway. We'll get it back. 3rd and 10. Pizzella is sacked, and the drive comes to a quick end. It's Tim Brantley Jr. with the sack. And Missouri State's got about 4 minutes. A similar spot that we were in against these guys last year, down 14, as they decide to run it on 3rd and 10. A gain of about 4 or 5 for King Davis. They're going to go for it on 4th and 3. Reich scrambles up the middle. He can run. Gets the first, breaks the tackle, and slides at about the 50-yard line. Another 3rd down for the Bears with 3 to go. Reich scans the field. He'll look to run with it again. Much less room this time as he's wrapped up by Kenny Woosley Jr., and they're going to go for it once more on 4th down and 4 with 2:57 to play. Reich looks to scramble once more. In trouble. Reich does not get the first down. Taj Powell with a game-saving tackle, and Delaware wins it 21-10. Not the best game offensively. We had a nice stretch in the middle of the game. We struggled early, we struggled late, but the defense was phenomenal once more. Ever since the Western Kentucky game, our defense has been really, really good. I think we've only allowed 10 points 3 weeks in a row now. Alan Reich did some good things for Missouri State. You could argue he was better throwing the ball than Pizzella, who once again only completed half of his throws, but he did run for over 50 yards, as did Ellison, who scored twice. 5 catches, 90 yards for Brandon Raymond. Another nice day in the office for him. And then this defense, which really throughout the entire first half of the year was not very good. Now the defense is playing really well. We've won 4 in a row. We're 7-4. We finished Conference USA regular season play at 6-2. And now we've got to see if our other in-conference opponents can maybe do us a solid. Give FIU or Middle Tennessee a loss. So we've got 6-5 UConn coming to town. Our first home game in what seems like years. And would you look at this? FIU lost. The only other 2-loss team is New Mexico State, who we beat. They lost to Liberty 56-10. So that means we're in. It's over. We're going to the conference title game against presumably Middle Tennessee, although if they lose their last game, it could be New Mexico State. But since we've beaten both of those teams, we're going to have tiebreakers regardless, so we know we are in for sure. We still have one more game against UConn. How do you lose to Temple 48-0, yet barely lose to North Carolina? That doesn't really make sense. They've had a tough schedule, of course, being an independent. They can play pretty much anyone they want. They're a 71 overall, one of the more talented teams we've played against, with a lot of really good offensive skill position players, and redshirt sophomore Caleb Osborne as the quarterback. This is kind of a weird game for us because we know we're going to the Conference USA Championship, so in a lot of ways, this game doesn't really matter. But to me, this is a nice tune-up against a pretty good opponent, one of the better teams we've played against this year, and it's senior day. It could be our final home game. Maybe we'll be at home for the conference title. Regardless, we still want to win this game without question, but we do want to be cautious with injuries and whatnot as well. Pizzella scrambles on 1st down, and he takes a big hit, and he is injured. Pizzella's taken a lot of hits this year. It might not be the worst idea to maybe not play him as much in this game because the stakes are lower, as we do start with an early touchdown. Byron Ellison in for the score. So the Blue Hens open this one by marching right down the field, finishing the drive with a touchdown, and it's 7-0. Here's UConn. Osborne on 2nd and 4. He'll look to scramble. He's got room to the left side. On the run, it's caught. That's the standout senior receiver, Cole Weaver, with a gain of 33, the highest-rated player on their roster. And then on the final play of the first quarter, Trey Cornist is in for a score, and UConn is an extra point away from tying this game up. However, Jalen Ross blocks the kick, and Delaware holds on to the lead. The score through 1, it's 6-7. As we move into the second and early 3rd and 5. Pizzella back in the game, and he gets sacked. DJ McClary is the one who makes the play. I want to keep Pizzella out there, keep him loose for the conference title, but I also don't want to risk re-injury. Osborne on 3rd and 6. His pass is incomplete. Good coverage in the secondary by Delaware. We'll get it back on offense again. 3rd and 10. Pizzella scrambles. I don't want him doing too much. I don't want him taking big hits. How about this play, though, for Byron Ellison? What a throw on the run, and it goes for a gain of 53. That's one of the most impressive plays I've seen by Pizzella all year, and that says something. At the 2-minute timeout, Pizzella, end zone, touchdown! Matthew McKinley-Daniels with the score. Even though Raymond's been by far our best receiver, McKinley-Daniels seems to hog all of the touchdowns. 14-6, 3rd and 14. Osborne's pass caught. First down, touchdown. UConn will bring it within 1. Matt Reagan, the senior tight end, with the score, and it's 14-13. We've got a good game. 30 seconds left in the half. Pizzella looks to scramble. Pizzella sets his feet, winds up, and it's caught. Nick Tyree to about the 40. An unbelievably impressive first half, slinging the skin for Steele Pizzella. 20 seconds now. Pizzella rolls out. He's got Raymond, another first down to about the 25. And we're going to use a timeout. We've got one more. 2nd and 10. Pizzella has a wide open man. Tyree drops it. Got to catch that ball. That's right in your mitts. We're just going to take the points here with 6 seconds. I don't think we have enough time to run a play, even with the timeout. Eli McGee's kick is up, and it is money from 42 yards out. 17-13, a really good game going into the break. Our defense definitely has not fared as well as we have in recent weeks. This is certainly a better offense compared to the ones we've seen, though. Our offense is moving it really well, though. Steele Pizzella looks really, really good in this game. He's got nearly 150 yards. He hasn't been super accurate, but the throws that he has made have been really impressive. Zymarian Lang will take it out of the end zone for UConn, breaks a tackle, fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Delaware. Kevin Moore with the recovery. Julius Puryear forces it away, and we'll get it right back on offense. 3rd and inches. Pizzella takes a big hit on the sack by Leon Lett, and we're going to have to settle for a field goal try from McGee. It's a 35-yarder. His kick is up, and it is no good. Wide to the left. So we force a fumble on the kickoff, but we don't score out of it. UConn gets it back on 2nd down. Osborne on the run. It is caught. Weaver was smothered on that play, and he still comes down with it anyway, despite good coverage by Trenton Gummer. 3rd and 12. Osborne picked off. DeMarcus Riddick with the interception, and we'll get it back on offense as Osborne is in pain, grabbing at his back. Speaking of injured quarterbacks, Pizzella's not out there. It's Riley Triulo who finds Brandon Raymond on a nice play to about the 35. So Pizzella's injury isn't super serious, but the game is actually going to keep him out for the rest of this contest, which really isn't a bad idea, I think, as Jalen Bond scores the touchdown. Pizzella and Byron Ellison have taken a ton of hits this year, and given that this game in the grand scheme of things isn't that important, it doesn't really make sense to keep them out there. So I kind of like that the game's not letting us put them back in. As Josiah Taylor gets a big tackle on 3rd down into the 4th, Triulo is picked off. UConn forces a turnover. On the return, it's Tracy Revels who gets it to about the 5. Triulo is the one who catches up and brings him down, but this gives the Huskies some new life. 3rd and goal, Osborne back out there. Unlike Pizzella, he will remain in the game as he hands it off. Nowhere to go for Trey Cornist, and they're going to take the points. It does make it a one-score game, so I see why. But when you're that close, I feel like you should go for it. 20-yarder for Mike Baker is good, and it's 24-16. So Triulo and Jalen Bonds is now the backfield for the rest of this game. Bonds cuts it to the outside, looking for his 2nd touchdown of the night. What a run by Jalen Bonds, who's getting more and more touches as the year goes along because Byron Ellison is just taking up a ton of hits. And Bonds continues to play well, I think. 31-16, it's a 4th down for UConn and Osborne, who scrambles for the first down, keeping the game alive for the Huskies. 3rd down and 10. Osborne looks to throw it, has time, now under pressure. That ball's out, it's a fumble, and it's picked up by Delaware. Josiah Taylor with the strip sack. Taj Powell recovers, and that should just about do it. But if that was not convincing enough, following possession, Osborne picked off by Josiah Taylor, who forces 2 turnovers within the span of a minute. And the Blue Hens finish the regular season on a 5-game win streak with a record of 8-4. We were 3-4 at one point. We didn't know if we were going to make a bowl game. We didn't know if we were going to make the conference title. But just like last year, we really caught fire in the second half of the year, and we feel really dangerous going into the Conference USA Championship game, which will either be at Middle Tennessee or potentially at home against New Mexico State. Pizzella had some really good throws before he ended up getting injured. He will be healthy, though, for the Conference USA title. He did not play a lot in the second half. Ellison did not play a lot in the second half, and neither did Brandon Raymond. While it was not my decision to not have those guys out there, I don't think it was really a bad idea from the game to not let those guys play, because in the grand scheme of things, yeah, this is a nice win. Shout out to Josiah Taylor, 3 TFLs, a sack, a pick, and a fumble for us. But in the grand scheme of things, we didn't have to win this game in terms of our Conference USA title hopes, given that, well, UConn's not in our conference. So now the question is, who are we going to play against in the Conference USA Championship? Middle Tennessee and New Mexico State are the two teams it could be. We've already beaten both of them earlier in the year. I'd love nothing more than to potentially beat them again. Will it be at home? Will it be on the road? We'll find out in just a moment. Josiah Taylor, unsurprisingly, wins the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week with his huge game, forcing 2 late turnovers. Bringing us to our Week 14 bye week, right before Conference Championship Week. Let's see who we're going to play against. Why does it say bye week? Wait a damn minute. Are you kidding me? We're not going to the Conference Championship. What is this nonsense? New Mexico State and Middle Tennessee, I thought were competing for the one spot. Instead, they're competing with each other in the big game. This is really stupid, because we beat both of these teams earlier in the year. We should have priority in terms of the tiebreaker. We did not deserve to make it last year, and we did. This year, we did deserve to make it, and we don't get in. Where's the logic in that? I thought maybe there was a chance they got the tiebreakers wrong or something. Maybe it had to do with overall record or point differential. Nope. We had by far the best point differential in the conference, and we had the best overall record. So what am I missing? I think the only way to get accurate tiebreakers in this game is to pay a microtransaction for it. That's the only explanation, because both seasons now, EA's gotten it wrong. I guess what goes around comes around. We didn't deserve to make it last year. We got in. And now this season, it's the inverse. But that really sucks. Our team's been playing great football. I think we would have absolutely beaten either one of those teams. We do get some good news, though. Our first recruit commit of the cycle, and it's a big one. Nobody ended up going after quarterback Eric Dickens. So despite the fact that he costed 55 NIL points to give a scholarship to, we never gave him the scholarship. We're not paying him a dime. Yet I think this guy is really talented. I think he's got a chance to be a starting quarterback for us in the future. I'm a huge fan of his skill set, and I think he can really play. We struck out on pretty much every other 3-star that we went after, but he's the guy I wanted the most because he looks really good. Let's simulate the week again now, seeing who we might get in our bowl game. Another one of these 3-stars is down to 3, so it looks like we're going to land him at least, center Alex Duggins. We might get a couple 3-stars, but for the most part, all the guys who we had come in for visits earlier in the year, we're not getting any of them, which is really disappointing. As for the Heisman Trophy winner, that was Darian Mensah, the quarterback at Miami. He ended up staying for his redshirt senior season, and the Canes are looking like one of the top teams in this year's college football playoff field. So Mensah takes home the award after a great year. Started his career, obviously, at Tulane, then goes to Duke. Throws for 3,800 yards, 36 touchdowns, 72% completion percentage. I've seen a lot of undeserving Heisman winners in this game. That is not one of them. That is a really good season. As for our bowl game, we are going to Boca Raton. Arkansas State, the Red Wolves, will be our opponent. The champions of the Sun Belt, who sit at a record of 9-4. I am curious who won the Conference USA title, and ended up being New Mexico State. They beat Middle Tennessee 28-20. I still can't help but feel like we got completely shafted by EA Sports. What are we doing here, guys? Here's your playoff bracket, by the way. Miami is the number 1 seed. BYU, Tennessee, Ohio State get first-round byes. UAB, the small school representing the American Athletic Conference. I talked about it in my video yesterday with tier ranking all the teams in Dynasty mode. UAB is really good in this game. I haven't figured out why, but they're really good. So here's Arkansas State. They went 9-4. Close loss against ranked Memphis, who almost made the playoff. They beat Missouri State, one of our common opponents. They beat ranked New Mexico. And then they beat Marshall in a very low-scoring defensive battle in the Sun Belt title, 14-10, as they get set for the Boca Raton Bowl against our Blue Hens. They're a 67 overall, so pretty even with us. They've got some good players. Austin Dendy and Nolan Ray lead a really nice tandem in the backfield. Donovan Hamilton's a very good number one receiver. And they've got a veteran quarterback, a well-traveled senior in Austin Novosad, the former Oregon Duck, who was the starter last year at Bowling Green before transferring to Arkansas State, where he is now. There was a point in time where people thought Novosad might be the starter at Oregon. I mean, going into 2025... if I remember correctly, the Ducks did not announce Dante Moore as the Week 1 starter until the day of the first game. We all kind of knew Dante was going to be the starter, but there was at least a public quarterback battle with Dante Moore and Austin Novosad. We'll get to see Austin today in the Boca Raton Bowl, but he'll have to wait to touch the field as we start on offense. Pizzella's picked off! He's back out there after missing the second half of the UConn game with an injury, and he gets right to work. As it's Kaijon Cummings-Coleman with the interception. Here is Arkansas State. Novosad, very clean pocket, backs up. Novosad has all day, and he throws it right into the hands of Jalen Bell. His 5th interception of the season, and we get the ball right back after one play. Back-to-back interceptions. And Delaware gets it back on offense immediately. We're looking to take advantage. We're marching down the field. It's 3rd down and 5. Pizzella's pass is caught by Bonds for a gain of 4. We're going to go for it here on 4th down and 1 now. Pizzella, quick throw. He's got Scott Moore with a juke move. I didn't know the big fella could dance like that. 1st down for Moore, and we've got it near the end zone early in this game with a minute left in the first. Ellison does not get the conversion on 3rd down. He actually went backwards. And we're going to go for it again. 4th and goal at about the 3.5-yard line. Pizzella's pass, incomplete. Raymond was open. Moore was in the area too, but he missed both of them. Arkansas State gets it with poor field position, so they couldn't really do anything on this drive, although they nearly got a 1st down on 3rd and 12. A good run by Nolan Ray. We'll get it back on offense. 2nd down. Pizzella's going to look to run. This is obviously his strength. He runs into Bonds. Give me a block. I feel like he could have got more if he was able to move away from Jalen Bonds, but still a really nice gain to the 30. Next play. Play fake. Pizzella intercepted again. Kaijon Cummings-Coleman, his 2nd INT of the night. And Arkansas State gets it back once more. An early stinker from Steele Pizzella. 3rd and 12. Novosad hoists it up. It is batted away. KT Say makes the play. And now we've got it back on offense. Marching down the field at about the 15. Pizzella under pressure. He is sacked. Unable to flush out of pressure as he's wrapped up by Taisuli Akana, the senior edge rusher from Lahaina, Hawaii. That one is broken away for Salazar on 3rd down. We'll have to settle for a field goal. 43-yarder for Eli McGee is up, and it is no good. McGee was automatic for a season and a half, and now it seems like he can't make anything. So we're still scoreless, as on 3rd down, Novosad under pressure. It's Taj Powell throwing him to the turf, and we will get it back on offense. This is anything like our bowl game last year, at least on the offensive side of the ball. We haven't scored. We had 38 last year in the Cure Bowl against Sacramento State, but we've got another chance in the red zone as Raymond hauls that one in. We're 0 for 2 in the red zone today, hoping 3rd time's the charm. Brandon Raymond in for his score, and Delaware is finally on the board. What a season it's been for Raymond. He's got over 1,100 yards through the air and has been one of the best receivers in college football. 30 seconds left for Arkansas State. They've got 2 timeouts. That one is caught by Paris Bowden. Bad coverage by Jamarion Kalabodi. It's good to have him back, but that was not a good rep. Under 20 seconds now, Novosad on the run. One-handed snag with room to run. Donovan Hamilton with a huge play, and the Red Wolves use their last timeout. With 10 seconds, Novosad's going to go short. It's caught. That does not go for the 1st down, and this clock is moving. Tick, 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 tick. There's 4 seconds. Can they get one more play off? 2, 1. Novosad snaps it. Looks to throw it. Novosad scrambles on the run. Doesn't get it! KT Say delivers the boom! And as much as it's been a disappointing season for Say, that tackle is a 7-point difference. They could have had the game tied, but instead we go into the break up 7-0. In 6 quarters of bowl games this series, our defense has allowed 0 points. That's pretty good. Not a lot of offense early in the third, both teams trading punts, but Arkansas State changes that with a 46-yard touchdown by Bosky Barrett, and this game is tied at 7. Delaware has not played an important game in about a month, and that's certainly reflected in the play by the offense today. Pizzella's sack, making it a 3rd down early in this 4th quarter, still knotted up at 7. Pizzella goes short. Brandon Raymond, juke move. Raymond does not get the first, but he is close. Close enough to go for it here on 4th and 1. Bonds joins Pizzella in the backfield up the middle. Doesn't get too many yards, but he is able to get the first down. And we're going to move the chains. This clock is moving. 4.5 to go. 2nd and 10. Short throw. It's Matthew McKinley-Daniels. Gets a block. McKinley-Daniels. Touchdown, Delaware. I think he's only caught like 25 passes this year. That's his 8th touchdown of the season, however. So here comes Arkansas State. Down by a touchdown. Novosad connects. Donovan Hamilton past the 50. Their offense has looked a little bit more explosive as this game has gone along, even though it hasn't led to consistent scoring. With about 3 minutes to play, can the defense get one more stop to win this game? As it's a long loss for Nolan Ray, making it a 2nd and 15. Arkansas State has not been able to run it at all. Our run defense has been so much better in the second half of the year. Novosad hoisted up, and it's caught to the 10-yard line. Donovan Hamilton gets 41. Ray on 2nd and goal doesn't get it, but he is close. Arkansas State has 2 plays to punch it in and tie the game. 3rd and goal at the 2. Back to Ray, doesn't get it. That is Taj Powell with the tackle. 4th and goal. Novosad scrambles, hit as he throws, and it is incomplete. That was in the receiver's hands, but it was jarred away right at the end. And a first down for Delaware would end the game. 3rd and 1. Jalen Bonds gets the first. And the Blue Hens win the Boca Raton Bowl of Beans. A low-scoring game, 14-7. A lot more competitive than our bowl game last year. The defense played just as well. The offense, not as much. But our defense over the last 5 weeks was remarkable. It's like we flipped the switch. I feel like we allowed a long rushing touchdown just about every game through the first half of the year. And once we were able to hunker down and not let those big runs happen, opposing offenses couldn't really beat us because they relied on those explosive plays on the ground to get their points. But when they're not doing that, our defense is too good on a snap-by-snap basis to allow teams to really excel. We needed every last bit of it from the defense today because our offense was not very good. I don't think Steele Pizzella had a very good game. Honestly, I thought it was one of his worst of the season. He wasn't that impressive on the ground, minus a few plays, and through the air he really struggled. Raymond with a good end to what I would expect to be his Delaware career, but who knows, maybe we keep him for his senior season. The defense, though, was phenomenal. Powell with a big game. Interception by Jalen Bell again, his 5th. So we add another trophy to the trophy case, the Boca Raton Bowl champions in season number 2. We finished with a record of 9-4, so the same amount of wins as last year, but one less loss because we didn't play in the conference title game. We started the year 3-4. We had the bad game against Western Kentucky, but after that, over our last 5, we played really well, especially on defense. Look at the amount of points we allowed. 10, 10, 10, 16, and 7. A really strong year from Steele Pizzella. 2,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And to compare that to Nick Minicucci at Penn State, you could argue Pizzella ended up being a little bit better for about a 5th of the price. Now, Minicucci tore his rotator cuff. He only played 8 games. But still, I think we certainly made the most in terms of our value at quarterback. Byron Ellison had a solid season. Pizzella obviously was effective as a runner. Jalen Bonds was good too. And then Brandon Raymond, 71 for 1,185 yards and 5 touchdowns. To compare that to Sean Wilson at Georgia, Wilson also missed part of the year, and he was solid. If he was healthy, he would have been Georgia's number 2 receiver. But certainly not as good as Raymond. And I think what's been really fun about this team is our guys have really developed. I upped the XP sliders across the board, so naturally everybody across the country will develop, and it clearly worked. Defensively, Josiah Taylor and Kenny Wosley, 2 very instinctive players around the ball. Awesome gets in the transfer portal. Taj Powell as well. Jalen Bell, 5 interceptions. Not everyone was great, though. McGee, the kicker, struggled, and even KT Say was not great, but I think just his decision to return to Delaware was really able to help this program keep the momentum from last year. So even though he didn't play that well, him returning I still think was very beneficial. A lot of schools are interested in our services as potentially a head coach, but we are ultimately going to stay at Delaware as Miami, with the Heisman Trophy winner Darian Mensah, wins the national championship in season number 2. They defeat Tennessee. The top 4 seeds end up making it to the Final Four, BYU and Ohio State getting there as well. So now it's decision time. We ended up gaining a lot of new dynasty points. We go from about 1,100 to over 1,500 to spend. Our current roster projection has us at about 800 in NIL. That's over 50%. We're going to have to make some tough choices with these guys because Brandon Raymond wants about 300. Vyron Ellison wants over 200. Steele Pizzella wants a massive raise. He wants about 300. Pizzella going up from a 79 all the way to an 84 this season looks like kind of a curse in disguise because as much as he got better, his NIL price certainly reflects it. We have more points than last year. I think we can be more aggressive with how we spend. But 1,500 is not a lot, especially if we want to be active again in the transfer portal. Let me know how you guys think we should use our points down below in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed Season 2 of the Delaware Dynasty. The plan is that we will be back for Season 3, hopefully on Wednesday. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.